What up, y'all? Welcome to Chip and Zay here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. I am Zay Collier. We'll be joined by Chip Brown very shortly. Chip is in Colorado because his son, Tiger, is graduating from Colorado State tomorrow. So that's a big deal. Big love to the Brown family. Celebrate that. So I don't got no text for him, just thank goodness, because usually he'd be telling me, oh, something's going on the internet, or, he's going to be 5 or 10 minutes, which in Chip Brown time, that can mean actually 5 or 10, or that can mean about 25, 30. So, okay, here we go. Here's my guy live from Colorado.
Hey, need more words of Judy Brown. Happiness is a choice. Zay, what's going on, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Oh, man. Just, hello. Hello.
You
good? Set up in my makeshift studio here in the lodge in Colorado.
The lodge.
I mean, I'm excited. My son's graduating from college. Tiger Brown.
It's a big deal, man. Congrats to Tiger. Congrats to y'all, man. I know that's a big deal for you to see him as a little lad and now becoming a man, graduating from college, and now the world's just his oyster.
Man. I mean, what do you remember from your graduation? Anything?
Not really. Just my family was there. Love, support. Yeah. It was just kind of like, thank goodness we got through. You know what I'm saying? Because both of my siblings graduated, so that's what my parents expected. And
right.
Houston-Tillotson University, fine education there. Had a really good time representing the ATX, the HBCU here in Austin, Texas. It's a big deal and something very special to me. But yeah, it's just, I'm not a graduation guy. I'm not going to lie. I get it. But I'm cool with just walking up to the dean, dapping him up, him giving me my diploma. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Thanks.
See you on the road.
See you later. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was last name's Collier, obviously. So I'm early in my name being called. And, there's the HT graduation. It was a good class, but my high school graduation at the drum, if you graduated from the city of Austin or any of the outskirts and you had a graduation at the Frank Irwin Center, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And my mind racing, not because I'm locked in on graduating, but I'm just thinking about, man, this is where TJ Ford used to get buckets. This is where KD used to get buckets, Chris Clack. I'm looking around trying to see something that's not there because they do a good job of just blocking off anything, I guess, Texas related. They want to just keep it about the graduation. But yeah, I was the first person, like one of the first few called as Collier, and now I got to wait for everyone else. When I got a class of 3,000, something like that, and yeah, that was, and I've been to way too many graduations. Got to go to one next week. You're going to have to find somebody for Thursday. My niece graduating.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, you always got to give you a heads up, but
got to give me a little heads up,
But that's, I love her. But again, I'd be cool with her dapping up the principal, saying, appreciate you. Thank you for everything. Holla.
Yeah. Please remember to like and subscribe to the Texas Sports Unfiltered YouTube channel. Appreciate that. And please take note of all these incredible sponsors around our faces because they make it possible for us to broadcast to you each and every weekday here on the Middays If you're listening to us on the app, make sure that you play along on the Circuit of the Americas CODA text line at 512-222-9328. And Joe, appreciate Joe. Joe says, good afternoon, Chip and Zay. Congrats to Tiger on graduating. Yeah, for those who've listened to me for, I don't know, last 15 years on all the different radio stations, I'm pretty much the radio slut of Austin.
I knew that was coming.
I've done a show with just about everybody.
You get around.
Tiger would come on the radio when we would have those ice storms at the old 10, the Horn Studios.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd all come in the night before for the morning show, and my kids would sleep. Single dad would stay at the radio station too, and so Tiger would come in the mornings, come on the air. He had this famous line, where I didn't know he had a girlfriend or something. He's like 10, and he's like, "Dad, get in my life," and people have associated Tiger with that line ever since. So I'm just trying to be in his life this weekend.
Yeah, man. Beautiful thing.
This says, Chip, say hi to my high school prom girlfriend, Kay, who lives in Fort Collins. From Eddie Williams. What's up, Kay?
This current girlfriend? Eddie?
Or 1986. So his high school prom of 1986. So who knows?
Yeah, y'all still together, Eddie? I'm trying to be a little messy. You threw that out there. Now I want to know what's going on. Like, that's still the girlfriend? Are y'all doing a long distance thing? Like, how's that?
Don't try and sneak that shot past the goalie.
Right?
Because Perze Hilton is all over you.
Yeah, man. Like, she all the way up there. He never said ex-girlfriend.
Right. Just his
girlfriend. Y'all still talking? You know what I'm saying? Is the spark still there?
Hey, now.
What's going on?
Hey, now. Yeah, we got a great show. We'll have, of course, our man Lance Taylor of lanceslock.com, our SEC insider and prognosticator at 2:30. And then Chris Hummer, who normally joins us on Tuesday, will join us today because he had stuff going on. It's a big weekend for Texas Longhorns baseball and softball. Texas baseball getting going against OU in Norman today.
That's what I'm talking about.
6:30 on SEC Network Plus. Cade Bing, the Binger, is going to be the starting pitcher.
It's an interesting choice.
Well, because this is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, I think Schloss wanted to keep Luke Harrison on his normal routine, which is Saturday. So he's pitching Saturday, and you're going to have Cade Bing and Ruger. Ruger's normally on Friday, and he's going to pitch again on Friday. So this is essentially your Sunday starter, only he's pitching on Thursday.
Okay.
So, yeah. Cade Bing, the sophomore lefty, who's had some great outings. Remember, he had a game where he pitched 5 perfect innings of relief. And we haven't seen him a lot lately. But obviously, this is a big deal. It's a great opportunity. And for those who caught Monday's show with Houston Street's like, if you're a pitcher for Texas and Jim Schlossnagel's talking about giving someone an opportunity, you should be crawling on glass to get that opportunity. So obviously Cade Bing is doing something right for Jim Schlossnagel to feel like he can be the guy. Mm-hmm. And it's OU's got good pitching. I mean, that's the one thing. If you're looking at OU, There may be some holes elsewhere, but their pitching's been pretty good. So Jim Schlossnagle gave his team a wake-up call, said, this is the most disappointing loss we've had. He was referring to the Game 3 loss to Florida at home, with a chance to clinch the SEC regular season title. On Mother's Day, in front of the home crowd, didn't happen. And, Rylan Galvan came in and said, it's embarrassing. So we should see an inspired performance from Texas baseball tonight at 6:30, Zay, don't you think?
Very inspired. Like, you should be very pissed off. The players only meeting, Jim Schlossnagle saying that he's disappointed. It's been a slump, and no one feels sorry for you. Nobody cares about the injuries that you have, like you're Texas. Everybody wants a piece of that. Everybody wants to be the reason why you don't win the SEC championship. They're on the other side thinking the same thing in Norman. Like, yo, Texas? They trying to win it on us? Okay. All right. Oklahoma's going to give you everything. So, this team, the ups and downs, I think they got it in them to bounce back. I really do. I think that's what Jim Schlossnagle, him being the good coach that he is, the guys around him on his staff, the right amount of veterans on this team mixed with the young guys, like what Adrian Rodriguez has done, I don't think is talked about enough. The way that he's so versatile for this squad, whatever you need from him, he's willing to do. And he's proven that and done it at a solid level. I didn't know he was this versatile. I thought he was just a straight up third baseman. We've seen him in the outfield. We've seen him on second base because of Ethan Mendoza and the injury that he had. There's a lot of guys that are taking on more responsibility with the adversity that has hit for this squad. And even though Arkansas series was brutal, Florida series was rough, I think this team has it in them to bounce back. I think they got that in their blood. And I love Houston Street, man. I thought he was terrific with you on Monday. And the things that he said, absolutely 100% right. Like, guys should be itching and scratching for an opportunity to show Jim Schlossnagle that they're worthy of more bump and more playing time. But also, it's a little easy for Houston Street to say that too, because he had ice in his freaking veins. Not everybody got that Houston Street ice in their veins. So I feel him. I feel what he said. Again, he's 100% right. But not everyone's built like that. And I think a lot of these Texas guys are, but also they need to prove it. It's easier to say that they are when they've proved it. I'm kind of basing it off of just what I've seen so far, which is a lot. They've proved it a lot. When you beat Georgia the way you did, Auburn, when you sweep A&M, even though it wasn't the prettiest 3 games, you're showing what you're made of, especially with the adversity, Max Ballou, Jared, all these guys that have been in and out the lineup and now just out in general. Hopefully Max Ballou gets some bump tonight. But I think it's in them. It's just they got to prove it. And even though it's been rough, they got them to bounce back. We'll see tonight.
Yeah, OU is scheduled to send Kyson Witherspoon to the mound. Hard-throwing right-handed brother who went 7 innings and gave up 1 hit in 2 starts ago against Ole Miss. He was fantastic. Last start, OU got swept at Kentucky over the weekend. And he didn't have as good of a performance, gave up 4 runs. They ended up losing 4-3. But Kyson Witherspoon can get it done, and this will be a good test of, Schloss wanted to see more competitive at-bats. He felt like the first through the 7th inning against Florida in Game 3, guys were not competing, were not, they weren't challenging the
Okay,
pitcher.
so competitive at bats, what does that mean? Because it's such a patient game. I sometimes being patient and waiting for your right pitch, and sometimes that can hurt you. What does competitive mean when he's talking about at bats exactly?
Yeah, I think he felt like they were not locked into what pitch was coming. So if they needed to foul off something, they just looked, and there were, I think, 4 strikeouts looking, and you just can't have that. I mean, if it looks like it's coming into the zone, you got to get a bat on it somehow and foul it off and make him, reload and extend the at bat as long as you can, wear him out, that kind of thing. Because obviously the freshman pitcher Aiden King that dude was a monster against Texas and had total command of everything he was throwing. But I think Schloss wanted to see, more fouls, more extended at bats, because that's something that Texas has been, good at. And then that did happen in the 7th, 8th, and 9th when they had chances, had the bases loaded, couldn't get runs across, had 2 men on, couldn't get runs across. So I think that's something to look for tonight. How competitive are the Texas at bats? Are they extending the pitcher? Are they, is it a 10 pitch at bat? Is it a 2 pitch at bat? Because if the pitcher's getting off with 2 and 3 pitches, man, he's going to be around for a lot. He's going to stay in that game for 5, 6, 7 innings.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's such a chess match game, man. That's what makes it so fascinating, because every pitcher has a scouting report on them as a hitter. All the pitchers have the scouting report on the batters, and you're going off of analytics, but also you got to go off the personnel that you bring to your game. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a pitcher and I know a guy, likes it in the corners, but I'm that type of pitcher that likes to put it in the corners, what do I do there? You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you just got to hope that your stuff's nasty that day as a pitcher and that batter's having an off day, and vice versa. And Jim Schlossnagle, who's known for patient hitting, that's why the whole competitive thing, in a way, could sound a little contradicting. You know what I'm saying? Again, I know Jim Schlossnagle is one of the best in the biz, but also, okay, you're telling me be patient for certain hits, and this guy throws it one way, and now you're telling me on another side we're not competitive enough. That guy, the scouting report for Florida, it might have just been better that day. They might have just known, or the whole weekend, with the Texas batters, the analytics team, the coaching staff, the assistants, just getting the scouting report right on every single batter and what they do well and what they struggle on. And sometimes, hey, that's just what it is. Like, it's a crazy game, man. It's fascinating. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I guess what balance you have to have as a coach on, okay, we do have to be patient, because if a guy's just throwing wild, then, hey, he'll just walk us to the win. But also, if the guy's throwing it in the money spots, you can't wait. You got to attack them things.
Right. Well, and the thing about OU is they have speed. So their thing is they need to get guys on base and then create havoc. They're second in the SEC in stolen bases. You've got, Jason Walk and Dawson Willis. Like, you got 4 guys for OU who are, big time base stealers, and they cannot have from the Texas pitching tonight what's been a problem the last 2 series, which is free passes, especially to lead off an inning. Remember, against Arkansas, 14 of the 26 runs scored by Arkansas that weekend were either walks or hit batsmen scoring. And then against Florida, there were 3 hit batsmen in game 3 to go with 4 walks. And God bless Jason Flores. He either walked or hit a batter to lead off the first 3 innings. You can't do that. Not in this game, not on the road against OU with your rival trying to ruin your weekend and keep you from winning the SEC championship. So obviously the big headline is Max Ballou is probable. And what does that mean? Does that mean he's just going to be in a designated hitter role? Is he going to be back in right field? We'll find out when the lineup card comes out for tonight's game at 6:30. But if he's back in right field, does that mean Tommy Farmer IV goes back to left field? Who's the designated hitter?
Who are you benching if you were Jim Schlossnagle and Max?
I'd probably give Aiden Rodriguez a rest because Schloss said his hand is still really bothering him, but he's fighting through it. And he used Aiden Rodriguez as an example of, here's a guy whose hand hurts so much when he hits the ball that it feels like, he said, quote, it feels like it's going to fall off. And yet he scratched out a hit against Aiden King. One of 2 hits came from Aiden Rodriguez. He's like, I need more guys like that. But, Ethan Mendoza, who's been in that designated hitter role, is close to being back at second base. So this is going to be interesting to see how, Schloss makes room for Max Ballou being back in the lineup. And there's a lot going on here for Texas. And if Max, who was batting .358 with 6 home runs and 22 RBI when he got hurt on March 28th, catching a ball in right field in a game that Texas won in run rule fashion, 15-4. He's missed the last 27 games. If he can pick up where he left off, I mean, that's asking a lot. The initial reports were that he would be done for the season. I mean, this is Max Ballou, who's just going to do anything he can to get back on the field. Had surgery to repair the broken thumb immediately. Has been in the cage the last 2 weeks and is just such a dog, So this is going to be fascinating. Yeah. See how Schloss handles that batting lineup and who's playing where.
My man Soul Scream trying to call brother Al, talking about I don't like when players have players only meetings. I don't, because usually that means things aren't going good. Things aren't going well at all. Things haven't been going too well for this Texas baseball team. But
yeah, they're 5-5 in their last 10.
But I like the makeup of these guys to where I think it might help. Certain times I don't think it will help. This time I think it will. But
yeah, and it was all the veterans. It was Max, it was Rylan Galvan, Kimball Schusler, Jalen Flores. Those were the guys doing the talking.
6-year senior Duplantier.
Yeah, Dre Duplantier, the 6-year senior, was in there too. And yeah, Dre Duplantier, baby. He's giving you some good innings here down the stretch.
Yeah, he's like the Udonis Haslam of the team.
Totally. Totally. The guy is, 6 years. God bless him. I could have gone to college for 6 years with someone paying for it, and I'm getting to hang out with my buddies every day and play ball. What a dream.
Life. That's good living right there.
Good living.
Yeah.
Bill Norton last year, he was a 6-year guy. Jermaine Lolay, 6-year guy. That's good living right there.
Yeah, you can squeeze out them years. NCAA lets you make the most of it. I ain't mad at it.
Yeah. Aaliyah Moore, she's gonna She's going to get 6 years.
Yeah.
I mean, she's going to take a full year off, and hopefully, knock on wood.
Both knees, gosh.
Yeah.
Bless her.
Yeah.
Man.
But hey, I think one of the knees is a patella tendon. The other one is complicated from what I hear. So
Not good.
yeah.
Never like complicated when it comes to someone's body.
You know what? The medicine is getting so much better that if she's had chronic knee issues and they've got some way to fix it, do it now because Texas is paying for it.
Right.
Do it now before you are out on your own or, you know, you're going to get the best medical treatment from, Texas, their doctors, whoever they associate with. So, yeah. How many years did it take you
For what?
to finish college?
I took time off. So
Gotcha.
out of high school after Tom Schubert traumatized the hell out of me.
Tom Schubert.
I came back home, was pretending to train like I was going to get back out there, but then I started reffing and stuff, and I loved reffing. That's why I will always say I'm the greatest high school ref in Central Texas history, and I stand on that. And I really
Why
thought—
didn't you pursue that? Why didn't you pursue Revin?
I don't know. Like, a part of me—
I can hear it in your voice.
Yes, you hear the passion. You know what I'm saying? It's
Not
there.
too late.
My frame, you have to have a certain build. Like, it's kind of like the combine. They want you to look a certain way. I'm not that. I'd be the fat dude on the screen. That's what they be trying to count me as.
Well,
the big old Hershey Kiss out there.
I know you. You'd get inspired. You'd listen to some Rocky music and start training.
I'd get right. If I had to, I'd get right. Problem is, I don't know if that itch ain't there no more.
Well, is this true? Because I don't know. You got to move up. Obviously, high school reffing, but what if Zay turned out to be a college ref and then a NBA ref?
That's what I'm talking about. NBA money solid.
Right. Those
That's
guys
solid. That's solid living.
Do we know what they make? Like in the NBA? Let's see. Yeah. As my wife would say, Google that bleep. Highest paid NBA ref.
Yeah, man. Guys making up to $9,000, $29,000 per playoff game.
$550,000 a year. That's pretty good money.
Pretty good.
That pays.
You get $29,000 for the playoffs. Come on, man.
Come on.
That's good Skrilla right there.
That's good Skrilla.
Yeah, but
speaking of basketball, the Celtics without Jason Tatum. I mean, you better show me something. Heart of a champion, for God's sake. Now it's 3-2 Knicks. You think the Knicks close them out, or are we going 7?
Man, I don't know, because the pressure's not on the Celtics anymore.
Right.
When Jason Tatum got hurt, now we're all thinking, well, they're not supposed to win. Why would they win? He's their best player. So when you don't have any that's how my man Devin White was playing last night. He could care less. Derek White, excuse me. 34 points, 7 for 13 from 3. No conscience at all. No matter who was around him, he was getting them jumpers up because you ain't got nothing to lose. Jaylen Brown, everyone on that team, they had that same mentality. They looked good last night. Like Luke Cornett, he was probably the player of the game. 9 rebounds, 7 blocks. Like, who is this guy? Dikembe Mutombo? 7 blocks, man. I don't know if he felt the energy of Bill Russell. The ghost of Bill Russell was flying around TD Garden last night, and kind of like Space Jam, Luke Cornett got a glimpse of that, and because he played like it last night. Again, impressive showing. Jalen Brunson fouled out, which was weird. Like when star players foul out, that's always odd to me because that's another thing about NBA officiating. You think that everything just smooth sailing and stuff. You got to understand, it ain't about you out there. This game, it's a business at the end of the day. So fouling out Jalen Brunson, I'm sure those refs who were reffing last night, somebody will give him a call and be like, all right, let's go through all these fouls and see if they were legit or not.
Legit.
You know what I'm saying? Because this guy, he's one of the top 10 players in the association right now. Knicks fans would like to see him play. I know some people think that's a little cheat and stuff, which part of it is, but also business. So Celtics took advantage of that last night, got them the dub, and they go back to Madison Square Garden, see if they could steal another game back to Boston, because if they win that, I think Boston wins the series. Like, that'd be very difficult to just overcome, you know. And the Knicks, man, they're so talented. Anunoby and Bridges, both of those guys are amazing two-way players. Like, just the way they move.
Yeah, but Karl Anthony Towns went back to being pillow soft.
He has that in him. Said it before. Like, he has that in him where he's just real, just soft, man, timid looking. And I know he hurt his hand game 4 or game 3, one of those games at the Garden. And he was mouthed to his dad, I think, in the stands, like, oh, I broke it. I broke it. So that's not good either. So I don't know if that's affecting this game a little bit, but it might have last night.
Man, that's gonna be, and then you got OKC and Denver tonight, back in the Pepsi can in Denver. I thought Denver would take care of business in OKC. They had the lead, they were in control, and then OKC, man, they put that close. They closed them. Closed.
Yeah, they hit some big shots, man. Like I've been saying all year about OKC, the additions of Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso, that's been it for them. Adding those two veteran guys, that might put them in the place they want to be.
Well, let's bring in our SEC insider and prognosticator, one and only Lance Taylor of Next Round Live and Lance'sLock.com. LT, what's up?
Hey, fellas. How are y'all?
Hey, man.
We're just good, man.
Good,
we're just,
man. Good.
We're just pondering the NBA playoffs.
No idea what's going on. No idea what's going to happen. This is crazy. I've never seen anything like it. I thought going into this, it would be Celtics, Thunder winning the whole thing for the first time ever. I'll stick with the Thunder. I don't feel great about it. I think they will win tonight, close the thing out. Thunder T-Wolves, more than likely. I still think the Knicks now with no Tatum, obviously they'll win that series. I kind of lean Pacers. I know the Knicks are going to have home court. They're going to be somewhat favored, but I think we're going to see like I don't know. I mean, we could see. I mean, none of the combinations would surprise me now. Like, and none of these teams winning at all would surprise me, which is really, really crazy when you think about it. That if you just play the odds, either the Pacers, Knicks, T-Wolves, or Thunder is going to win the NBA championship. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, they all have great guard play. You know, I'm cheering for the Pacers because my man Miles Turner, who's like this totally unsung warrior who's had a great career. And, you know, of course, he went to Texas. Super fun guy. Super, like, he's a big kid and still plays the game, like, with a lot of fun and passion. But I don't know. The Pacers have been notorious for coming close and not getting over the finish line, LT.
Yeah, you're right. Halliburton is so good. You know what's crazy? When you look at Anthony Edwards right now, and I was talking about this with somebody yesterday, maybe it was on the show, I don't even remember. But, you know, Anthony Edwards, the number 1 overall pick, he couldn't even get Georgia to the NCAA tournament. And even a guy like Kevin Durant, you guys remember, one and done. Ben Simmons, number 1 overall, never got LSU to a tournament. It's kind of hard to believe, though, that Anthony Edwards never got to that point, but now could end up being the NBA Finals MVP and winning a championship. And he's still super young.
Yeah. That is interesting.
No, it is. I mean, you look right now. I mean, your top two rated guards coming out, Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper from Rutgers. Rutgers couldn't make the postseason, and they've got the top two guards in the NBA draft. Like, I just don't understand that, because you would think if you have one really good dominant scorer in college basketball, excuse me, Trey Johnson and the Texas Longhorns this year, but you would think that could actually take you somewhere, right?
You would think.
Yeah.
You know what that is? That's bad coaching.
Yeah, I do think that has something to do with it, Chip. Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of draft, Lance, talk about those Alabama and Auburn guys, because Tahad Pettiford, people are raving about him at the combine, and what he did with Auburn this past season as a freshman, very impressive. I'd like to hear your thoughts on him. And also Mark Sears, do you think he has a place in the NBA? Because I know he gets compared to Jalen Brunson a lot, but do you think that he has a shot?
I will tell you, okay, so let me start with Alabama, and then I'll go back to Pettiford. We actually had Nate Oates on the show yesterday, because we were out at the Champions Tour, the Seniors Tour is coming through Birmingham. We have the regions. And so the Pro-Am was yesterday. We were out there, and, we had Saban on, we had DeBoer on, we had Nate Oates on, we had Hugh Freeze on. For the country music fans out there, we had Riley Green on. So, we had a lot of different people. We just kind of ran out of time with Oates, but I wanted to talk to him about the Mark Sears. Obviously he's going to say nice things. I did ask about LeBaron Philon, and I'll get to that in a second. I think Sears, tremendous player. I just think that sub 6 feet is going to really hurt him. I don't know how he's going to get that shot off. You saw him, like, he could be so dominant at times, but when he went against a bigger athletic team, Duke, didn't really – wasn't a huge factor. And I just think night in, night out, when you've got a 5'11" one going against guys that can rotate over that are 6'5" to 6'9", he's just going to have I don't think he'll get drafted. And I think he was a tremendous college player. And Jalen Brunson is, 1 in a million. That guy is just so freaking good for his size and his ability to be able to get off shots. His size is pretty crazy, but he's still got legitimately 2 or 3 inches over Sears. So I do think there's still a difference. LeBaron Philon coming out after his freshman year, I think it would be wise to come back. I asked Nate Oates, do you feel like you've got an obligation to legitimately tell these guys where you think they're going to go? And, he was kind of diplomatic about the answer to the question, but he said they've saved a roster spot for LeBaron Philon, but Philon has said he ain't coming back. And I think it would be smart if Philon knew he was going to be a first-round guy. I don't think Philon will be. He might be back into the first round, more than likely a second-round guy where you don't have a guaranteed contract. He comes back to Alabama, he's going to make 7 figures next year. I don't think he'll come back. I think the best potential guy coming out, and he won't get drafted, is Grant Nelson. 6'11", 235 pounds. I think he set a record for the shuttle run in the NBA combines. Very inconsistent shooter, but he's got good handle. He's a great athlete. When he is on fire, he can really shoot it behind the arc. I just think he's got a lot of upside at 6'11". Tahad Pettiford. The interesting thing was Bruce Pearl was on the show and said that he was 5'11". And so I was like, damn, this is really going to be interesting, because the NBA is just not going to draft anybody under 6 feet. And so I was like, I can't wait to see what he measures out. He was 6 foot and change barefoot, but he plays bigger because of how explosive he is and his lift. Got a great vertical. You only got to see him. I thought he was the best player on Auburn's team. Obviously, Janai Broome, first team All-American, great career, all that kind of stuff. But I was just talking about pure potential. Pettiford could shoot the eyes out of it. Was almost like God, I hate to say Allen Iverson. I don't really know.
Man.
But he's so like, I don't know a weakness in Pettiford's game right now. And, it was all coming off the bench this year. And I think he would have been a superstar coming back. I don't think he's going to get drafted the first round. I think he's going to get drafted high second. And I think he's one of these guys that could come back, be an all SEC guy and really solidify himself, maybe as a lottery guy. So I don't think Philon or Pettiford comes back. That's unfortunate for Alabama or Auburn fans, but good luck to them. But I don't think they'll be first-round guys.
What did you think of the Mavericks getting the number 1 pick in the draft?
It's hard for me. And look, there's some conspiracy theories I believe. I never really got into the Pat Ewing corner was folded from David Stern, giving one to the Knicks. I know Nico Harrison was super excited because that guy has taken more heat than anyone after the Luka trade. I think Cooper Flagg's going to be really good. Do I think he is going to be a top 10 guy? I'm not sure about that. It is interesting when you have a 1.8% chance of winning something in the two. I said this earlier, not how you guys feel about it. Like if I was guaranteeing you first class anywhere in the world, a plane ticket, and there was a 1.8% chance it would crash, I probably wouldn't get on it, but I would think about it. Like if I can go to Dubai first class, and there's over a 98.2% chance it's going to land safely, I think people would take a look at that at least. So it is really difficult to believe that with those amazing odds, they were able to land that after all of this controversy. But I don't know why the NBA would really care. I know people are like, well, Luka needed to go to LA to revive that franchise, which the NBA cares about. They really don't care about the Dallas Mavericks. And we really don't know how well, Cooper Flagg's going to work out. Again, I think he will. It was pretty amazing odds, but I'm not going to buy into a massive multi-billion-dollar industry rolling the dice on their integrity by fixing a lottery.
All right. Did you
by the way, one person can't keep a secret, much less two, 3, 4, 5.
I'm in that camp.
Yeah.
Did you ask Nick Saban about this college football committee?
Yeah, in kind of a way. I was like, I know that you're, going before this and y'all are going to be talking about it, and nobody can figure out guardrails. Do you have kind of a cliff notes on, how this thing's going to play out? And he just immediately went into, I don't want anybody to think I'm against NIL. I'm all about these guys earning their money. Kind of the same thing you've heard a million times. These clips are up, by the way, next round on all our social media channels. He basically just said, we've just got to figure out a way to get this thing better. He didn't say the system was broken, anything like that, but it wasn't an answer that would blow you away. I more so set him up for Bill Belichick, his buddy, and I was hoping that he would take a bite of that apple, because I was like, hey, have you talked to your buddy Bill lately? I was like, I don't know if you've seen the movie. I don't know if you've seen the movie Cocoon, but he is living that movie out right now. And he kind of smiled, and I was like, do you talk to him? How do you think he's going to do his first year? He didn't bite on the Jordan Hudson potential, taking that, but he just went into, Bill's a great coach, and I think there's going to be a learning curve and blah, 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 blah. Look, Saban was nice to come on, but like he didn't really get anything out of it.
Yeah. How was everybody else? Kalen DeBoer, you say you talked to Nate Oates. How was just the whole event, all the guys that you interviewed? What stood out to you the most?
Yeah, I thought I'll tell you what really stood out to me, and this was unfortunate because I feel weak on not following this up, and I was ready to pounce. But, we've got Hugh Freeze on, and Hugh Freeze is going into year 3. And we're talking about back-to-back 7-loss seasons. Auburn has not had a winning season since 2020, and Auburn fans will try to tell you they're a premier program. They're one of the top 20, 25 programs in college football. Have they been that before? Yes. Are they that now? No. But Hugh Freeze came on, and he's a guy that kind of sold us that year 2 was going to be special last year with Peyton Thorne at quarterback. Now you go out, you get a Jackson Arnold, you get an Eric Singleton, you get starting offensive linemen from Virginia Tech and USC in the portal. So all this is coming together. And he mentioned, when I took this over, it was like 4 straight sub top 25 recruiting classes. We had back-to-back in my first 2 years, top 10 recruiting classes. So he's like, it was going to take a little bit to get there. He was like, but I understand that fans aren't patient, and I understand that things need to be done. And he mentioned, look, I know fans want to get back to a bowl. And he kept saying bowl. And I'm just like, so there's 3 of us doing the interview. And I'm like, holy shit, a bowl? Like in year 3? And so we had next guest, because it was like, once they came in, they started rolling. So we were all 9 to 12. And then we were supposed to have the first guest at 12:30. Coca-Cola, big sponsor. We were in the Coke room. And so they would bring them in. But when they brought Freeze in, we had the next guest lined up right behind. So it was one of those things that I wanted to ask. It felt good. We had just asked him about his cancer. And so I don't know. I feel like a punk for not asking him, because 6-6, that is laughable. Kirk Cignetti in year 1 at Indiana went to a college football playoff. I mean, if I'm an Auburn fan, that is absolutely laughable. If he goes 6-6, he will get fired this year.
Well, he's gotten the quarterback wrong, and so he's got to get it right. Like Jackson Arnold, I hope they have weapons, and obviously they have Eric Singleton, right?
Yep.
And you mentioned the offensive lineman, so.
Yeah, they got Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons. I mean, like 5-star guys last year as true freshman receivers that will now, and Cam Coleman, the way he came on at the end of the year, I think Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, with an improved offensive line, if Jackson Arnold can get his confidence back. And it's a big if. You kind of hinted around at that, and he was, DJ Durkin, their defense coordinator, he was like, the one thing I've told DJ coming out of practice, I need a confident quarterback. The defense doesn't need to dominate so much that we have a quarterback that's not confident. He said if he can get his swagger back, I mean, this is a guy that won Gatorade Player of the Year in 2023. We haven't really seen it. Like, I am so excited about the Red River shootout this year with Mateer and Arch Manning. But at the same time, I am fascinated to see Jackson Arnold, who I thought was fighting with one hand tied behind his back with a terrible offensive line that gave up 50 sacks, top 5 receivers out, well documented, didn't have a rusher that went over 500 yards. I mean, just didn't have skill last year. And you had a coach, in year 1 of the SEC, and Brent Venables, that had a really bad year, had a good year. And that third year, I think there was a lot of pressure there, and he panicked early, and he benched Jackson Arnold and brought in Michael Hawkins, and then went back to Jackson Arnold. I just think Arnold can be a tremendous talent in this system if he does. I agree with you, has a little confidence. And, man, I'll tell you, what a tough opening game against Baylor, because they get by Baylor, then they get 2 test drive games right after that, and they'll be 3-0 before they head to Oklahoma to play Jackson Arnold's former team.
Yeah, and everyone's talking about Sawyer Robertson being a top 10 quarterback this year for Baylor. So I know you got to bounce. Lance, what's going on over at lanceslock.com?
Look, man, we've had a rough 10 days. The NBA playoffs, I mean, just how crazy it's been. It's kind of been all over the place. We were 2-0 last night. We had the T-Wolves. I just want to give your listeners free play today. I've got the Thunder -4.5. So jump on board, win with us, close it out tonight. I thought Jokic was great just a couple of nights ago, but even his 45 couldn't do anything about it. I think this Thunder team is really, really good. So got the Thunder -4.5 tonight. Free play every single day, lanceslock.com. We'll have some match plays tomorrow in the PGA Championship, so be looking out for a little golf. But jump on board, win with us.
Who do you like to win the PGA Championship?
I have not seen afternoon guys, but I went with Justin Thomas.
Okay.
And I don't even know how he's playing. So we do this. We do four golfers. I think I've told you guys this. I'm in this big Calcutta, and once you use your 4 golfers, it's all 4 majors and then TPC, and that's already obviously gone past. But once you've used a golf, you can't use them again. It's cumulative total monies. But I had Justin Thomas, I had Tommy Fleetwood this week, Joaquin Neiman, and Patrick Reed. Bunch of golfers I don't like. I like Tommy Fleetwood. Do not like Justin Thomas. Don't like Patrick Reed, but I hope they play good golf this week.
Well, I can tell you right now that
you're going way down that leaderboard, Chip. I don't like it.
I know. I'm looking for Justin Thomas, for crying out loud.
He
Yeah,
might be
he
in
did.
this too.
All right. Well, listen.
See,
We'll
Bullet
we'll
wants
check
to
in.
go away.
We'll check in with you next week, and always appreciate the time, LT.
Yeah, boys. Y'all be good. Talk soon.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Lance.
See you
See
next
you
Thursday.
guys.
There he is, Lance Taylor, Next Round Live. nextroundlive.com for all those interviews he was talking about. And lanceslock.com for the picks. $100 a month gets you all the picks. And yeah, the NBA's been hard. The NBA's been hard to predict. My man Zay is on. He didn't even want to make his third pick of the finals yet. You tell me when you're ready.
I mean, I guess we could do it now.
We got Joe. Joe K says the winner of OKC and Minnesota will be the champ. He's not giving the Eastern Conference any credit. My Indiana Pacers, no shot.
Oh, you're Indiana Pacers now?
I'm just cheering for the Indiana Miles Turners.
I would like to see Miles get a ring. That would be nice. Shout out to Tyrese Halliburton, man, because whatever poll came out saying he was the most overrated player in the NBA.
How about that?
Yo, I think that ruffled his feathers a little bit because my man's been showing out in these playoffs. Like his range and his shot's so unorthodox too. I wouldn't teach that shot to anyone, but it works for him. I wouldn't change it because it's his shot. Some people have a funky shot. If it goes in, it goes in. And he obviously gets it off at a quick release. That's what somebody would say if they saw a shot and tried to change it. Like, you wouldn't be able to get your shot off. That's a lie. How much swag do you have in your dribble to where you're going to create separation so you can get that shot off, which is a little bit slower? He has a lot of that. And I don't know what it is about Indiana. They always have just a different kind of brother there. You know what I'm saying? Like Reggie Miller. You know what I'm saying? Just a different type of – Reggie was weird. He was different. You know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't put him as the face of the league, obviously, because Mike was running with that thing. But for Indiana, it fits perfectly. Like Tyrese Halliburton has that. You know what I'm saying? Paul George didn't embrace it enough because Paul George was too flashy for it. He's an LA kid. So Paul George was like, no, I can't do it. It's been fun, but I'm not trying to stay here. It's a little too small market, Midwestern, farmish town, but they love their hoops. So if you embrace them, they're definitely going to embrace you. Reggie got that, and I think Tyrese Halliburton's getting that. So, again, kudos to Tyrese Halliburton. His daddy crazy as hell. You got to get, make sure he takes his Ritalin before the game or something. But his son could ball. And they waiting for this winner of Knicks and Celtics. They just chilling. Everybody getting right, getting back healthy, rehabbing and stuff. They just waiting. So, yeah, I don't know about that, man. Whoever wins that OKC, Minnesota, which I could still see Denver winning these next two games. Easily.
Come on.
I could see that. Like, how can you not? They have the best player in the world. Like, David Adelman needs to stop playing Michael Porter Jr. as much. You got to do something with that because he's killing you. He's been horrible. He had a good game 3, 1 out of 5 games.
Yeah, Porter's been terrible.
He's been really bad.
Christian Brown's been really good, and you can tell that Nikola Jokic trusts Christian Brown because they're running a lot of, two-man game, and Jokic is looking for him on, for threes, and yeah, man.
When he came out of Kansas, because you remember Christian Brown was on that national championship team, those matchups against Texas and stuff.
He's a problem.
And I was if he's the ultimate role player in the NBA, like
He's the Tayshaun Prince of the Denver Nuggets.
Absolutely.
Tayshaun was never the guy, but he was a tough matchup defensively because of his length. He could hit shots. He could get in the lane and make plays. And I feel like Christian Brown's starting to become that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, man, his length, he's what, 6'8", and with his length, he's
6'6".
Or 6'6", but plays like he's 6'9" because of that length. It's like Trey Johnson. Everyone's like, oh, Trey Johnson, he measured at 6'4". Yeah, but his length is so good that he probably plays 6'6".
6'10" wingspan.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta pay attention to that. It makes a difference.
No, Trey could be really good in the league. Like, I'm excited about his upside. His head, though, sometimes he kind of spazzed out where you're like, bro, calm down. Like, I get it.
He's so used to being the best player on any team that he's on, and that will change once he gets to the league. And then maybe he settles down a little bit because
he has no choice. He's going to have
or he'll be
you can get
that rookie.
Yeah.
Because that rookie deal's done, they'll be like,
yeah, you could get a bad reputation in the NBA very quick. And you got to come into the league because a lot of people are going to see that. They're going to see all that stuff. When you were crashing out on coaches and looked like you were talking back and looks like you were arguing with your teammates, he had those moments. You saw it where you're like, all right, reel it back, dog. Like, you're on camera. I get it. Like, somehow you have to turn that into a positive because, like, you're competitive, but also, yo, man, Jordan Poole, you saw Draymond punch that fool in his face for talking crazy, acting crazy. Where's Jordan Poole now? He got paid, though. I can't lie. Jordan Poole did get paid.
Yeah.
So how you want to look at it, he still won.
He's a decent player.
Yeah, but now he's on the Wizards, and lottery every year.
Siberia. He's in Siberia.
Yeah.
All right, let's get a couple mentions real quick before Chris Hummer jumps on with us. Cover 3. Look, if you're looking for a place to hang out, watch the PGA Championship. Scotty Scheffler is in at 2 under. Rory McIlroy struggling today. Justin Thomas +4. Ooh, that's not going to get it done. But if you want to hang out, watch the PGA Championship, watch some Texas baseball tonight, 6:30. Head on over to Cover 3. I mean, great food, great vibe, great service, high-end food without the high-end prices, the brick chicken and mac and cheese, the ribeye tacos, the ruby trout with the pancetta bacon, and I'm starving all of a sudden. And the happy hour every day, 3:30 to 6:30. Got the $7 social hour menu. In the firecracker shrimp for $7. Come on. Cover 3 Anderson, Cover 3 Round Rock, and Cover 2 at 183 in Lake Creek. And don't forget, Doug Young, Matt Dodson, who, came up with Cover 3, have just opened a new restaurant down in Buda called Whiskey Ridge. So if you're a South Austin resident, check it out. Whiskey Ridge in Buda. It is amazing. McCall Custom Homes. Hey, if you're ready to do a little renovation of a bathroom, the kitchen, some extended outdoor space, and give Mike McCall a call because McCall Custom Homes has been doing business in Austin, family owned and operated, 40 years. They get the custom part of custom homes, the details. They want it to be just the way you want it. They want it to be better than what you think. And just head over you can check out all their work on, McCall Custom Homes on social media. Go to McCallCustomHomesATX.com to set up an appointment. Have Mike come out, see what you're thinking, Let him give you his ideas, give you an estimate, and away you go. McCall Custom Homes, ATX.com. Tell him Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. And the Sleep Cycle Center, our man, Dr. Chad, made it his life's passion to help guys with sleep apnea. Because if you're snoring, it's more than just annoying to the person next to you. It could be a sign of a serious health issue. Dr. Chad lost his dad to sleep apnea at the age of 60. He has made it his life's work to make sure no one else experiences that. He's got the best technology. You mentioned Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you, and he's going to take $100 off your sleep study. Like, you can't afford not to, go in, but tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. Go to sleepcyclecenters.com and set up an appointment. Tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. You're going to get $100 off your sleep study, and they've got all kinds of treatment options from, what I prefer is the oral appliance. I have sleep apnea. I have what I call my mouth guard, holds my lower jaw open. So I get that great sleep, get my oxygen. Sleepcyclecenters.com. Tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. All right. I see him in the green room. It is Hole in One Hummer. Hole in One Hummer, Chris Hummer, 24/7 Sports. The guy breaks more news involving the transfer portal than anyone. He and Matt Zenitz do an incredible job, and we're fortunate to bring him on every week here on Chip and Zay. Hummer, how you doing?
What's up? What's up? Doing
What's
good,
up?
guys. Watching these guys hack it around at the PGA, so feel better about a golf game.
Yeah. Our previous guest, Lance Taylor, has Justin Thomas, who is drowning at the PGA right now, +4, like through 9 or something.
Yeah, he's not doing well. He's put 4 over right now.
Yeah, he's gonna have to turn that mess around. Who do you like in that, Hummer?
I picked Scotty going into the week. Feeling okay about it. It was a shaky round. We still finished 2 under. We'll see, though. A lot of golf left to be played, but it's hard to bet against the guy who just beat the field by 10 last time he played. So,
And Rory is what, +2?
I think he's +3.
+3.
Yeah, I think he hit 3 fairways all day. So you're not gonna golf tournaments doing that.
He's still on that Masters championship run, man. He's doing appearances, kissing babies. Like, he ain't locked in on this right now.
He should be. He's won at Quail Hollow more than anyone. Like, you can't waste major opportunities. But yeah, it seems that way. He played pretty terrible.
Yeah. Well, and Luke Donald, who was the captain of the European Ryder Cup team, I didn't even know he was competitive anymore. He's at 4 under, for crying out loud. But all right.
Yeah, America's in bad shape for the Ryder Cup if the captain's out here leading the tournament after a couple rounds. He's not even playing. So
I was like, I covered Luke Donald years ago. Like, yeah, anyway.
Former #1 player in the world.
Yeah. That'll be fun. That'll be fun to watch. Hummer, want to get your, I don't know, maybe it's so nebulous to talk about this college football playoff committee that Trump is putting together. Are you hearing anything that makes you think there's going to be any kind of like productive outcome from this committee?
No.
Going into this fall? Yeah.
I think those in college athletics remain hopeful that there will be some sort of solution coming out of Congress. The committee is just another group of people kind of talking about the issues and selling it out. Maybe I'll be wrong, but given everything else that's going on in the country right now, I'm not overly optimistic that a committee spearheaded by the president will result in any significant change in college athletics. College athletics is going to have to hope that a Republican-controlled legislator can push a bill through with enough Democratic support to essentially codify a antitrust exemption. And I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe it does. We'll see. But I feel like college football leaders have gone to the Hill for days on the Hill, like 100 times the last 3 years, and the position hasn't really shifted much. So,
How about
not
Cody?
overly optimistic.
How about Cody Campbell? I mean, we knew about him because he was the bankroll behind all their stud athletes on campus right now, and some of their incredible new facilities.
Yep.
But he's turning into a central figure, at least in the eyes of President Trump, huh?
Yeah, he's going to be on the, it sounds like he will be on the committee. The other members of the committee, I think, very much remain up in the air, and really what that committee is going to look like remains up in the air, but Cody Campbell will be a part of it. And he's an interesting figure, given where he's come from. He's been very anti-power too, like obviously given Texas Tech's role in the world. And if this committee ends up having any say in terms of the governance of the actual sport outside of lobbying for NIL protections, that could be an interesting wrinkle for things. But yeah, I mean, Cody Campbell's, I think a lot of Texas Tech fans knew who he was. Like, I would assume so. But I think 2 years ago, like the national college football audience had no idea who Cody Campbell was. And over the last 12 months, he's become one of the most consequential figures in college athletics.
How about the settlement, Hummer, with the walk-ons and that situation? Where does that stand as far as today?
Well, the NCAA submitted a revised settlement agreement to Judge Bolkin last night, and she's going to review it, and so will the plaintiffs in the settlement, and then we'll see where we go. It's unclear at this point whether it will be settled as currently constructed. The NCAA has essentially offered schools the opportunity to grandfather in their current athletes at their own discretion. And I'm not sure if that's going to be enough for Judge Wilkin to pass, or I guess approve the settlement. There's no passing involved. So it's sort of a waiting game at this point. I think most people expect this to still get done, but the sticking point remains the grandfathered in athletes. And I get it. I'm going to be honest. Like, I understand this is expensive. I don't really understand the short-term issue of just like grandfathering and essentially like 50 to 100 athletes total. Like, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what college athletics is spending everywhere else. But that's very easy for a Texas to take care of. It's a lot different for Eastern Michigan to do it. So there's pushback on all levels, and that's part of the problem in college athletics right now. You have different sized programs with different priorities, and they're all arguing technically under the same umbrella for different things. So it's just a matter of how that gets sorted out.
Yeah. It's it's hard to ever think of avoiding the antitrust without collective bargaining, and that I don't know how you get to collective bargaining without the student athletes being employees or in some group. Because
at this point, just make them employees. I understand the argument against it, but like, come on. Like, the school is now directly paying these guys. Like,
no,
rules. Like, just make them employees.
And this is the thing: they're college football, highest level of college football, all of college football is the NFL farm system. There is no AAA, AA, single A in the NFL. It's college football. And the next step is convincing the NFL owners, you need to pitch in on this too. And, pay for what you've been getting for free forever. Because college football is the NFL farm system. And these schools are trying to come up with all this rev share, and some it's no problem. For Texas, it's no problem. For the schools, below the top 60 revenue producers, it is a problem. They're not going to be able to fully fund this thing. And I don't know. It's obviously lots of layers, Hummer. But what's your are you as crazy high on John Mateer as everyone else, the former Washington State, now OU quarterback.
Yeah, John Mateer is awesome. I think he's going to be really fun to watch. I think the question for John Mateer is like what's around him. But I mean, at a minimum, the talent they have at Oklahoma now is more than he had at Washington State. Like that's for sure. But the context is also considerably different given the competition. He's not going to be playing like. I mean, I'm curious, who did Washington State even play last year, given the truncated schedule? Like, I don't mean that in a dismissive way. I mean that honestly.
No, you're right.
I don't know. They played Texas Tech and Washington. They won both of those games. They lost to Boise. But otherwise, they basically played the Mountain West. And even Washington and Texas Tech are nothing defensively compared to what he'll see in the SEC from week to week. And particularly what his receivers and offensive line will see in the SEC from week to week. I have very little doubt about John Mateer being successful. He has put in a situation with his former offensive coordinator where he's going to know the system like the back of his hand. I mean, cliche, but like the back of his hand. He's going to be able to step in right away and perform. He's one of the best athletes at his position in the country. I think he's a better athlete, just pound for pound, than Arch Manning. Like, to be honest, he moves. He's going to run for more yards. He's got an electric arm. The question is, like, are the athletes around him good enough? And is he going to be able to pick up to the speed of the SEC game quick enough? Because if you go back and look at his tape from last year at Washington State, like, he struggled comparatively the first couple weeks because he was learning the speed of the game on the P4 level, or I'm sorry, on the FBS level after playing at Little Elm for years. And I don't know how many people here are watching or familiar with Little Elm. It's 6A football, produced quite a few Texas Longhorns recently, actually, including Terrence Brooks and Ryan Watts. But like, he took a little bit to adjust at Washington State last year. Like, what is that going to look like in the SEC? So it'll be interesting.
What are your thoughts on OU's offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle, who, like you said, was with John Mateer down there at Washington State?
He was the most sought after offensive coordinator this offseason for a reason. I remember, so he was Zach Kitley, who was formerly the Texas Tech offensive coordinator, is now the head coach at FAU. His right-hand man at Houston, I guess it was Houston Baptist. Now it's Houston Christian. Back in the day, they went to Western Kentucky together. Coach Bailey Zappi. Zach Kitley went to Texas Tech, obviously. Arbuckle stayed at Western Kentucky, had another top 20 offense, and he went to Washington State and helped turn Cam Ward into what he eventually became. So, like, I have very little doubt about his abilities. He's somebody that's super highly thought of in the profession. He runs a air raid-ish scheme. I think it's going to be more successful for Oklahoma because it's less talent reliant than what maybe Oklahoma was running a year ago under South Luttrell, even though they come from similar backgrounds. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, he's got to have the offensive line and he's got to have the receivers to be successful. And I'm not entirely clear either one of those groups. And frankly, the tight end room as well is good enough to do that. So that's going to be the telling piece for Oklahoma this year. Did they do enough in the portal at receiver, which I'm not sure they did? And did they do enough at offensive line? I'm not sure if they did to fix the issues they had last year.
All right, here's my question for you, Hummer. John Mateer or Sam Levitt? Who are you taking?
That's a great question. I know the one I'd rather watch from week to week. It's probably John Mateer. I think the NFL would probably lean towards Sam Levitt. But I think it's pretty close. I mean, both are pretty similar in their skill sets. The ability to extend, can make a lot of different plays off platform. It's just some physical toughness, above average arm talent. Have shown the ability to win with less. I don't know. I don't know if I probably lean Mateer slightly, but maybe I should take that back. I'd probably lean Levitt. He's done it against Big 12 and I guess somewhat SEC competition against Texas in the playoff and performed really well despite not having his best receiver. So I think right now you have to say Sam Levitt, although I think they're both two of like the top 12 quarterbacks in the country going into next year.
And I think Levitt was faster than Texas players thought. Like, you had guys like Anthony Hill right on top of him and couldn't couldn't get him down in the backfield. Levitt is amazingly quick.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm curious, does Sam Levitt have any testing times from high school? Because he is an impressive athlete. I think I lean Mateer's tools, but I think given the production, I would go with Levitt. But yeah, I mean, Sam Levitt was unbelievably impressive last year. I think what I worry about with Sam Levitt is, in some ways, they caught lightning in a bottle, and I wonder if there's a bit of a regression in year two. There probably should. I mean, on paper, there shouldn't be. Arizona State returns almost everyone. I think they returned 21 of 22 starters. Kenny Dillingham has more hype than any head coach in the country right now, but I don't know. I'd be, if he plays up to that standard again next year, like Arizona State's going to be very good. I think I need to see it with a little more consistency from Sam Levitt, but you kind of have to say him after the way he ended last year.
Yeah. What do you think about Arizona State and their ceiling, Hummer? Because we know you said you're really high on Texas Tech this year. A lot of that's because of what Cody Campbell has done by putting a lot of money out there and bringing big-time transfer portal guys in. But now Arizona State's not going to catch teams off guard like they did last year. Just how you think they're going to play out in the Big 12 and the Big 12 as a whole. How do you think it's going to look?
I think I'm just curious. Do y'all have I'm going to pull up Big 12 betting odds real quick because I think I saw them the other day and it was hilarious because FanDuel had no idea what to do with the league. 1 second. I'm sorry. I know this is not great radio, but so
no, we appreciate you doing the due diligence.
Kansas State plus 550, Arizona State plus 600, Texas Tech plus 650, Baylor plus 750, Kansas plus 800, BYU plus 800. That means FanDuel has no idea what's going to happen. Yeah. There's no favorite. There's no clear favorite to being a favorite. And I don't know what's going to happen in the Big 12 either. Iowa State plus 1,200, TCU plus 1,600. I think every single one of those teams has a chance to win the league if things go right for them next year. And then what is that, like half of the league? And it's the only conference in America you could say that about. I think Arizona State's going to be really good. The continuity is there. They should be good. I think the schedule's a little more difficult this year. But in terms of a playoff ceiling, on one hand, we saw them push Texas last year. On the other hand, I think Texas played probably the worst game it had all year against Arizona State in a lot of ways. And as good as Kenny Dillingham was scheming that up, I just don't think Arizona State has enough on the top end to really compete for a national championship, which makes me really think, I thought this last year, and I think it even more this year. I think the winner of the Big 12 is probably going to finish 9-3 or 10-2 in the regular season. I'd be shocked if we had a situation where we had a team that was 11-1 or 12-0 going through the Big 12. I just don't, unless it's Texas Tech, I just don't think any of those teams are good enough from a talent perspective to do that.
Well, and Cam Scadaboo was such a heart and soul guy for them because he was so tough and he gave out as much punishment as he took. Those guys are hard to find, man.
Yeah, and they have Army's leading rusher coming in, which I know sounds weird, Kanye Udo, who's a really big back. Maybe not Cam Scadaboo he's actually bigger than Cam was, who is a really high-level rusher. They also have Raleek Brown in the backfield. I think a name Texas fans are somewhat familiar with from his transfer process. But yeah, I totally agree. It is very difficult to replace somebody like Cam Scadaboo, who just seemed to have a jolt of electricity running through him every time he touched it. And maybe not electricity, maybe just thunder. I don't know what the specific thing was, but it felt like nobody could tackle him on the first attempt last year.
Well, and I guess we're going to find out if Iowa State has any skill players other than the guys who just came out and got drafted. They had 2 receivers drafted. Does Rocco Becht have dudes around him?
I actually really loved Iowa State's receiver class in the portal. So they went and they got Chase Sowell from East Carolina, who was their leading receiver this past season. I think he's a guy who could potentially be a draft pick. And they also added Xavier Townsend from UCF, who was one of the best all-purpose threats in college football last year. One of the best punt and kick returners, as well as being a plus receiver as well. So like, I think they have enough, especially given the strength they have at tight end and at running back. But I think with Iowa State, the question I always have is like, how high is that ceiling? And it's never quite high enough. They've got to win a lot of close games. And as much as I believe in Matt Campbell and that staff, it's going to be the same questions for them every single year, especially coming off a season, as you said, where they were so reliant on 2,000-yard receivers. So it'll be very interesting. But I think they did well in the portal to help replace those guys.
Yeah, I think Rocco Becht is good.
They can play.
Go ahead.
Hummer, which coach in the SEC do you think is on the hot seat the most?
In the SEC?
In the SEC.
Let me pull it up real quick. I can give you a better idea.
Hugh Freeze.
Sam Pittman.
Sam Pittman.
I don't think Billy Napier is like necessarily off the hot seat.
Is Mark Stoops after that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, not as publicly hot as some others, but yeah, I have some Mark Stoops questions. There were some Mark Stoops questions behind the scenes at the end of last year.
We're not saying Billy Napier. That's a change.
I mean, for now, it's a difficult schedule, and if they go 6-6, it's going to start right back up.
Venables
is on the hot seat. I think if Brian Kelly has a really bad year, he's going to be on the hot seat too. Like, there's some big jobs in that league that, I mean, can you imagine if Kalen DeBoer goes 8-4? Like, there's a lot of scenarios in the SEC going into next year where, like, you could imagine a coaching change happening. I think literally like half the league, like if you go through it, you could envision a coaching change happen if things go really poorly. And like, I mean, just last year going into the season, Clark Lee was on the hot seat at Vanderbilt. I don't expect him to lose his job coming out of this year either, but like, there's a lot of guys that were 1 year removed from either being on the hot seat or one questionable year away from being very hot going into next offseason. But I think the hottest is probably Brent Venables or Hugh Freeze and Sam Pittman as well. You could throw all the three of those guys in the same bucket.
How many years of eligibility does Diego Pavia have now?
Well, he made my life a lot harder this offseason because he gave a lot of people out of extra years of eligibility. I think this will be his 6th. I still don't quite understand that ruling. I'm going to be honest. I mean, good for Diego Pavia. He's going to make a lot of money this year. It's money he's never going to make anywhere else. He's not going to go play in the NFL. Like, he comes from a family background where it's going to be very helpful to have made that money. But yeah, it's an interesting world we live in where you could sue for extra eligibility.
Yeah. Hummer, an Ohio representative, is trying to pull a bill out to get Ohio State to stop playing noon games. Is this ridiculous?
It's so stupid, man.
The anti-Fox.
Like, go fix some problems. Like, come on. Go
How do
fix
you
some
feel about noon
problems.
games, Hummer? Especially for big ones like that.
I love a noon game. I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong. Like, if I was a fan, like, it kind of sucks in person, right? Like, nobody wants to tailgate at 6 a.m. But as a TV viewer, all for it. Give me noon all day. Like, I want to like go get to have like dinner with my friends or like go out for a couple hours in the evening, like noon all day. And I love Texas OU being at noon every year. Like, I know it's not every year. I think it should stay at noon every year. That's also one of the games. I think if you played it at night, you might have way too many fights and too many arrests, given how long people have to hang out. But like,
they'll never play that game at night because the state fair is emptying at that time.
Yeah.
So
you don't want to make the Fletcher's people stay a couple extra hours.
you don't want to have a normal crowd of 200,000 having to add another 100,000 trying to get out of Fair Park.
No, I had not actually thought about the exit strategy for that. That is a great point as well. But yeah, either way, I'm very used to that game being at noon. I love it at noon. I'm totally fine with Ohio State having to play Texas at noon. I think it's a cool thing. It's the first big college football weekend of the year, really. And like, that's the opening game of the year, basically, in a lot of ways. That's kind of cool if you're a Texas fan, if you want to think about it that way. But I mean, I just think Ohio State accepts a ton of money from Fox, right? Like a ton of money from Fox.
A ton.
And the Big Ten gets a ton of money from Fox. And yeah, it sucks to be Ohio State and be the big brand, but also you get every other advantage in the world. You can play at noon.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're Texas, you love that game at noon, not at night.
Oh, yeah. If you're Texas, you're thrilled. But I don't know if you feel good on the inverse when it'll again be at noon when you host them.
Right. But when it's in Texas, it's an ESPN property.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So when it's at Ohio State, it's a Fox property. When they come to Austin, it'll be an ESPN controlled game. So,
well, that'll be a night game.
Yeah. Another advantage for the ESPN conference versus the Fox conference. Better scheduling in the ESPN conference with all their channels. I'm fascinated at the quarterback situation this year, Hummer. I mean, we always tend to pick teams to win conferences who have either the experience at quarterback or some, hard to defend quarterback. And, no one seems to know what to do with Arch Manning in terms of what expectations are. What do
you mean? I see him as the number one draft pick and the number one quarterback in a lot of SEC power rankings. Like people,
no, that's true, but
put him first.
But like the numbers, Quinn got hurt. I get it. He only ended up with 31 touchdown passes. Colt McCoy's 34 touchdown passes in a season continues to be the record. Do you see Arch breaking records this year?
You said 34 touchdowns?
34 touchdown passes in a season. Colt McCoy.
That seems a little high, especially given I would imagine Texas uses Arch in the red zone a lot with his feet. We've seen the issues that Texas had in the red zone over the last 2 years. A lot better last year. Not as great when you call. I mean, I'm sure a lot of Texas fans just hear the word toss and they have PTSD. So maybe use Arch's legs a little bit more in the red zone. So I would imagine that takes away some of the touchdowns. But I think if Arch Manning stays healthy, and that's a big if, given Texas's quarterback play the last couple of years, I think he'll be reasonably close to that total. The top quarterbacks in the FBS the last couple seasons have been anywhere from like 30 to 39 if you're in the top like 10 or 20. And if Arch plays 13 full regular season games, or I guess 12 in an SEC championship game, I think he'll be at that mark or right above it, just given the way the sport works now.
Yeah.
I think really the question is like, I know Texas fans have this about Quinn Ewers a lot, but like, how well does Arch see it? Because I think where he got in trouble against ULM and he got in trouble against Mississippi State is he was just a little late on some throws. He put the ball in danger quite a few times and get away with that if you're playing the Warhawks or the Bulldogs. But when you get a little deeper in the schedule for Texas, I'll be curious how Arch does in those situations. But I mean, given his play so far and his family history and just the way people talk about him, I have no doubt he'll be very good.
Say you got one more?
Yeah, I got one more. Hummer, Seth Wickersham of the 4-Letter Network, he has a book coming out, quarterback book coming out. And I don't know if you've seen all the things about the Cam Williams situation in the book, where Cam Williams talking to his dad about this past season as a rookie with Matt Eberflus and
Caleb.
Say what?
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams. Thank you. Caleb Williams talking about, watching film, they're not telling me what to watch, which is very weird. And I'm not saying Caleb Williams should know exactly, but coming from Lincoln Riley and the quarterback guru, shouldn't he have some type of feel on what to watch? I don't know how that's taken. How do you take that, Homer?
So what was the specific? Was it like the Bears weren't telling him to watch during the season?
Yes. So like
that book also said that Caleb Williams wanted to avoid going to Chicago.
Yeah, I saw the UFL thing. He was considering going to the UFL instead, which is hilarious. Nope. I mean, a little concerning. I think in college where game plans are significantly simplified, and an offense like Lincoln Riley's, which is also like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a lot different than the old air raid, but it's still an air raid based scheme. You don't have as many plays. You're reading certain keys and certain coverages for most plays of where to go. You're identifying it pretty quickly. Like, I'm sure every week that Caleb Williams had a cut up either from Lincoln Riley or from Cliff Kingsbury, who was also there with him, was telling him exactly what he needed to look out for every week. It's hard for me to say that Cliff Kingsbury and Lincoln Riley don't know what they're doing, given the quarterbacks they have produced. So I actually think I'd side with Caleb a little bit on that one. If that's something your quarterback is asking for, and that's something that your quarterback wants, if you're the offensive coordinator, I think you need to provide it to him. He's the most important person in your franchise. And if that's how he learns and that's how he studies, like, you got to figure out a way to make it work. And I mean, I have no idea if Caleb Williams communicated that or just communicated to Seth Wickersham. Great writer, by the way. Excited to read the book. But yeah, I mean, like, I think Lincoln Riley has a much longer history of success with quarterbacks than the Bears do. Like, honestly,
for sure.
So I think my favorite tweet of last week was Chicago got a Pope before it had a 4,000-yard passer, and there's a reason for that.
Oh, that Hummer, that's a perfect place to put a punctuation mark on this. Appreciate it, man. Always enjoy the conversation.
Absolutely, guys. Talk to you later.
Yo, Hummer, number one pick, Mavs, baby. What's up? You hype?
We don't deserve that at all, but I'm so happy. Let's go.
Who you want?
Oh, I want Cooper Flag, man. Like, it's like hope has been restored. Like, we're feeling good. I still want Nico Harrison shot in the sun, but like, yeah, hope again. I got so mad, by the way. I'm not calling out like specific people on TV. I remember during the draft lottery, like the first reaction, because it was the Celtics Knicks. They were about to go on, and they had the like NBA Today panel, like doing the little like 2-minute segment before they throw to the game. And one of the people on the set was like, Nico Harrison saved his job. Like this was Nico's like plan all along. And I was like, his plan was for Kyrie Irving to tear his ACL, so the Mavs were bad enough to like get the number 10 pick. Like, get out of here. But anyway, very happy as a Mavs fan.
I love it. Hummer, hole in one Hummer. Go get him, baby.
Appreciate it, y'all.
Appreciate you, Hummer.
All right, Chris Hummer bringing it as usual. Yeah, that question of John Mateer or Sam Levitt, because their skill sets are very similar, and Sam Levitt, obviously, his stock went through the roof in the Texas game because he was making plays, brought his team back from being down, 24-8 in the last quarter of the game. And so you look at Sam Levitt, what he was able to do. And then you look at John Mateer, who put up incredible numbers last year at Washington State. He ran for 800 yards. John Mateer last year. He ran for 826 yards. That's like Colt McCoy 2008 numbers.
Don't disrespect Colt. Come on. John Mateer was playing against Pop Warner guys last year. Don't disrespect Colt, man. You got Lance Taylor out here comparing to Hod Pettiford, to Allen Iverson. You out here comparing John Mateer to Colt McCoy. What's wrong with y'all today? This is crazy.
Okay.
Washington State schedule.
Listen.
San Diego State, New Mexico.
Before you
Come on.
Before you come at me with all kinds of guns blazing there, let's go back and look at the 2008 schedule. I love Colt McCoy should have won the Heisman in 2008, and he would have if Texas could have held on to Michael Crabtree, for God's sake. But they played Arkansas in Austin. Missouri was not great that year. Oklahoma State, that was a good 28-24. Of course, they lost to Tech. They beat, Baylor wasn't good yet then. Art Briles wasn't there yet. Kansas sucked. They beat Kansas. A&M was terrible. They pounded A&M. That wasn't a great schedule, but Colt was amazing. I'm just saying, Mateer, not a great schedule either, but throwing for 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, running for 824 yards and 15 touchdowns. That guy's he's athletic. We just got to figure out how much that projects to
the SEC.
To the SEC. So
yeah. Have fun with that, bro.
Yeah.
Have fun with that. Have fun with all that running and stuff you got to do. Archie Manning, he got to hit up Arch all the time, every night before they say, love you, boy. Good night, and hang up the phone. I bet you Archie let them know, hey, slide. Slide, dog. Please slide. Get out of bounds. It's not worth it. 800 yards tells me John Mateer wasn't doing much sliding last year. So he could be the most durable quarterback of all time. He could be that. We don't know. All I'm saying is the Oregon States and the best team they played was Boise State. Boise State blew them the hell out. 45-24. Ugly. Brutal. Other than that, there's a lot of San Jose States and Hawaii and Utah State. It's like Pop Warner. That's fun.
It's fun.
We had a good old time last year. Ben Arbuckle, he probably thinking the same thing. Hey, my way is going to translate. Okay. We'll see, because that Oklahoma schedule is still rough. All it did was flip. Last year was rough. It's rough again. So I really don't know. I'm just like Lance Taylor on this. I don't know if Jackson Arnold is the wrong guy. That offensive line, horrific.
Right. And Seth Luttrell, that was a bad hire. That was a bad hire by Brent Venables. He didn't have his list ready, and he hired a friend. He hired a guy who was around the program, who's been a head coach and was successful when Seth Luttrell had Graham Harrell as his offensive coordinator at North Texas. But yeah, I think it's gonna be fun, because those guys, who was it? Our guy, Greg, the quarterback for Bama, McElroy. Didn't he rank Mateer number 2 in his college quarterbacks?
Damn, Greg, for real?
I could be wrong. I should probably double check that. But let's see here. Where did our boy McElroy?
Yeah, he had Clay Klubnik 1.
Yeah, Klubnik 1 and Mateer 2.
Wow.
So there's a lot of love for John Mateer, and everything I'm hearing. I talked to Dusty Dvorak about 10 days ago, and he's like, everything I'm hearing out of OU's, spring football is that the guy is like the ultimate leader. He's running everything. He's great with his teammates. He's teaching the young guy, whatever. So let's see. Look, Texas OU should be a war every year, and it sounds like it will be this year. So, yeah, and I know Briles was there in 08, but Baylor didn't get good again until 2010. That was my point. They were they were in the rebuild mode in 08 and Texas handled them. But what Colt did in 08 was so special. I mean, he converted 3rd and 7 or longer 55% of the time that year. That's ridiculous. There was no 3rd down too steep for that Texas team because of Colt and his ability to, be accurate. He was more accurate on the move, rolling, out of the pocket than he was from the pocket. And we know he set the single season completion percentage record, 76.7%, that stood until what? Who ended up breaking that? It wasn't Burrow, was it? Hopefully it was someone good. Maybe it was.
It's gonna be someone good.
Well, I mean, remember Kellen Moore? Kellen Moore broke his wins record.
Kellen Moore was nice.
Come on, man.
He had weird hair back then.
Huh.
Well, he was a lefty. Kellen Moore was all right. He wasn't meant to be a player. He was meant to be
God. Bo Nick. Oh, Mac Jones. For a single season is Bo Nix.
Good.
77.45% completion.
Bo Nix.
There you go. That's why he's getting it done. So Bo Nix and Mac Jones. Mac Jones in 2020 both completed 77.4% of their passes. Colt 76.7 in 08. Joe Burrow 76.3 in 2019. Those are your top 4 quarterbacks, single season completion percentage all time. Let's go. Look, CB, the world's greatest volunteer producer in the history of radio, says Layla Felia is headed to Syracuse. Layla Felia, who had the surgery for a detached retina, and it sounded like she needed another surgery, but headed to Syracuse. And
I don't even know what happened there.
Yeah.
That's a mystery.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah.
I was excited to see Layla.
You were high on her, man.
Very high on her. I mean, first team All Big Ten 2 years in a row, averaged almost 17 points a game, and 5 boards and 3 assists. I'm like, let's go.
CB, stop playing. I hope you're trolling, CB. Ain't no way she with that boy.
Layla's a grown woman. She doesn't need to be messing with no boys. She's a senior grad. I mean,
man, it could be.
He's not playing.
He said he's not playing.
Oh my Lord!
No.
Wow.
No, excuse me. I did not see that coming. I didn't think that through at all. I didn't think that could ever be a possibility because Jonte Cook, Fran Brown is taking a chance, boy. Fran Brown said, yo, you crazy as hell. You might steal. You might be doing all types of stuff, but
he's apparently done some things to work on himself.
See, good. Therapy's
allegedly.
Good. Yeah.
Hopefully.
You know what I'm saying? But
don't cost yourself money. Don't throw it away.
Hey, Layla Filia could be that though, Chip. As you said, get his mind right. Ain't nothing gonna get your mind right better sometimes than a grown woman who got her stuff together, that believes in you and sees the best in you.
We love love.
So if that's love, all that laughing I just did, all jokes aside, if that's love, what CB is talking about with Jonte Cook and Layla Filia, then you know what? Hey, I'm here for it. I'm here. She could change that boy's life.
Man.
Put them on the right path, understand like, yo, this the type of woman that I can't mess up no more. She believe in me. She see that good side of me. I got to get right for her, for myself. She probably gave him an ultimatum saying, yo, don't think I'm playing with you. You mess up one time, I'm out.
But CB said she's following him.
That's
not vice versa. It's not like Layla's going to Syracuse, so Jonte's like, oh, let me get in there, Fran.
Nah.
Sounds like Jonte got the green light first, and then Layla. Layla's beautiful, smart, Michigan, good ball player.
Yeah.
Let's see. Maybe his wedding bells in the future.
Maybe.
Layla Cook. All right. Let me get one more mention in. We got to get to the commentary, audio visual consultations. When you're ready for the big screen of your dreams, AV Consultations, our man Tom McKay, who is such a great supporter of Texas Sports Unfiltered. He's been the go-to guy in Austin for all things audio and visual. I mean, he's put big screen TVs and surround sound into some of your favorite restaurants in Austin, San Antonio, and he can deliver you the best price on big screens. He's put big screens in 3 different houses for me, and surround sound. You want a full-blown media room, he's got you covered. Surveillance, electronic shades, new lighting, all of it. Just go to avconsultations.com, or better yet, just call 255-8678. Of course, area code 512. That's right. 255-8678. All right, Zay. For the chip shot today. Get everybody primed and ready for this Texas baseball showdown. You got the Texas Longhorns, who need one more win to secure the SEC regular season championship. Let me put this into perspective for you. Texas baseball coming off of last year, it was a mess, to say the least. David Pierce wanted to be the pitching coach. Pitchers didn't get better. He got fired. Jim Schlossnagle comes over from A&M, and the biggest surprise story of the college baseball season, and it happened a day after the college baseball season. All Jim Schlossnagle does is, bring in some portal help. One of the biggest additions was Jared Spencer, who's now done for the year. And I said this the other day, David Van Horn, I heard him interviewed, the head baseball coach at Arkansas, legend, said, you're just trying to avoid losing your best offensive player or your number one starter. And Texas lost both and still is one win away from winning the SEC regular season championship in a conference that had 7 teams ranked in the top 11 to start the year, none of them named Texas. If they can get this accomplished, which I think they will, but it's not going to be easy because this is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, which has Cade Bing starting tonight, the lefty sophomore. I hope the Binger has a great outing because he's pitched better than his results this year. A lot of that was Tuesday nights, and that can be tricky, but because he'd leave the game and then start going through the bullpen, and then runs started going up on the board, and suddenly he's not a factor in the decision. But I hope he has a big game tonight because I think he's been a solid performer for Texas this year. And then Max Ballou, who's probable for tonight after breaking his thumb, having surgery. He's been in the cage the last 2 weeks. Ethan Mendoza's close to being back at second base and not having to use the DH role. because of his shoulder. This is a Texas team that has just found a way, and they need to do it one more time north of the Red River against a good pitching staff at OU, and a OU team that loves to get on base and create havoc, steal bases, manufacture runs, bunt their way on, use their speed. But their number one starter, Kyson Witherspoon, has been really good this year. It's not going to be easy. Kyson Witherspoon is 9-3 with a 2.45 ERA. By contrast, Ruger Riojas is 8-3 with a 5.09 ERA. And Luke Harrison is 4-1 with a 3.13 ERA. So this is going to be a huge challenge tonight. If you can get this one, you probably win the series. So 6:30 tonight, SEC Network Plus. They got called out by their coach. Let's see how they handle it and see if they can wrap up an unbelievable, overachieving season in my mind. No one saw Dylan Volantis becoming one of the best closers in college baseball. And, they've gotten help from, Jonah Williams stepping up. And it just seems like they've answered the call each time. I know they didn't on Sunday at home against Florida, but let's see what they got tonight.
Let's go, man. Wouldn't be nothing sweeter than getting the SEC championship in Norman on that field and have those guys watch Texas celebrate. Nothing sweeter. So I'll be locked in tonight. Let's get it.
Let's get to the right call.
Let's get it. Before that, though, shout out to our amazing sponsors like Leaf Landscape Supply, full service wholesale and retail plant nursery and landscape supplier here in Austin, Texas. Shout out to the original location off of 290 in Monterey Oaks in South Austin. Shout out to the north location off of Pond Springs Road. Whether it's trendy house plants, a collection of specialty plants and rare plants, they have large quantities of supplies to fulfill any landscaping job. So remember, when you go in and you make a purchase, let them know you heard from the folks at Texas Sports Unfiltered, and you get 10% off. 10% off at Leaf Landscape Supply, and go to their website at leaflandscapesupply.com to see what they have to offer. If you're looking for different tools, trees, seeds, fruit, chemicals, and fertilizer, and everything in between, Leaf Landscape Supply's got you covered. And Covert Bee Cave, Covert Automotive Dealership, they've been doing it in the greater Austin area for over 100 years. Wifey and I are Covert Bee Cave people, and we love our Buick Encore GT. It's really for her, even though I say it's for me too, but y'all know how that go. Either way, great place. It was an easy process. She had her questions. They answered them all. They didn't feel pressured. No sleazy car salesman vibes. A lot of it's all about vibes. And my wife had a good vibe the whole time. I had a good vibe the whole time. And it was an easy process. You could be like us too. If you want to see all the latest specials and inventory, go to covertbcave.com to check that out. Nobody beats a covert deal. Not now, not ever. All right, Chip. So as you know, when it comes to recreating something like a biopic, when it comes to movies, especially of classic sports figures, I'm very critical. I'm very judgmental. Air always comes up on our show. UNCB think it's a terrific movie. Me, it's I think it's a terrific story. I thought the acting was solid just because the actors in it were solid, but I just couldn't get past the fact
Matt Damon as Sonny Vaccaro.
Just, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. Well, apparently there's a new movie that is coming out that's a biopic of a classic moment in sports. where Nicolas freaking Cage is playing John Madden and Christian Bale, Batman, is playing Al Davis. And they're going back to the Raiders days. I think it's a movie on John Madden, so Nicolas Cage is clearly the star here, but this ain't good to me right now. Looking at this, I'm showing Chip a picture, and the folks that are watching us on YouTube, to the ones that are listening to us on the app, I'm showing a picture of Nicolas Cage as John Madden and Christian Bale as Al Davis. They're holding up their Super Bowl rings. This looks so janky.
This looks bad.
This looks
Look, Nicolas Cage, I gave up on him after what? I mean, I loved him in Raising Arizona. He was so good in Raising Arizona. But, like, I couldn't – I wore out on Nicolas Cage. He can try to win me back, but good God, this is – that's a hell of a mountain. That's a hell of a mountain to climb for old Nick Cage.
I don't know why he agreed to this. I don't know why Madden's people agreed to this. I think, again, the name, when you think about Nicolas Cage, the dude's done some stuff. Like, people always hate on Con Air. Con Air, I love that movie. But
And Leaving Las Vegas was amazing.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Nicolas Cage, he's got a good catalog here. But the fact that he's done so many things, him trying to beat John Madden, that's not it. That's not it. Christian Bale as Al Davis, I'll take that more. It's not the best, but it's still solid just because he looks crazy. But I think Christian Bale is also a terrific actor. I'm not saying Nicolas Cage isn't a bad actor, just sometimes it doesn't fit. This feels like one of those times, man. I don't know. This is a little crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
I see the guys from Open Gym. Maybe we should bring them in, get a quick opinion on Nick Cage as John Madden, fellas.
So I saw a different picture of this, a different picture of Nicolas Cage as John Madden on Twitter just a minute ago, and it looks a lot better than this. I can tell you that. Like I think he put on some weight or something. I can send it to one of y'all, but it's I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about it. I'm not the biggest Nick Cage guy in the world. Like I'm with Chip. Like Raising Arizona, Leaving Las Vegas, like a couple other movies in there, but ever since then he's just been kind of an afterthought to me. I mean, he's like, have y'all seen the clip of him from that one movie where he goes to like some island and there's a cult and he gets the mask put on him and it's like
Wicker
all
Man.
Wicker Man. It's like the bees, not the bees. Like
Yeah.
that's Nicolas Cage to me now, and it's terrible.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's great. Like, who the hell's going to play John Madden? It's going to suck whoever it is.
What about Kevin James?
Kevin James sucks. Kevin James has already been.
That one.
Kevin James has already been Sean Payton, and it was god awful.
That was
So
horrible.
we're not doing it. He already took a football movie and ruined it. Kevin James is going to look like Kevin James. Like,
I mean,
any actor you get is going to look like the actor, just fatter. That's all it's going to look like.
That
So
looks
just like-
at least a little bit better,
Get
right?
Nick Cage in there. He's going to go full method acting. It's going to be hilarious and great. But I mean, it's a John.
supposed to be funny.
It is supposed to be funny. It's a John Madden movie. There's not a football coach out there that has a good enough story to do a movie about that can fill 2 hours. There's not, because their whole life is going to be like, hey, I love football. End of story. There's not a ton to it.
Nah, this is a better picture. I don't know where Chip went. This is a better picture, though.
It's better. It's better.
It's better.
Nick Cage also did a movie recently with Pablo. Oh, not Pablo. The guy from The Last of Us.
I know you're talking about that.
Pedro Pascal, and where he plays himself, like he's in a movie about him playing himself. It's super super strange, but it's an interesting movie. But like I don't know, man. I love sports movies. I'm probably gonna avoid this one as long as I can. I won't make Patrick watch it for our movie review. I'll tell you that.
It'll be what it is at the end of the day. look, Nick Cage, the best way I've ever heard him described is everything he does is like performance art. It's just, you can't take it as he's like, oh, I'm going to really do it. So he just takes wild chances on things. And I love it. I love a guy who takes wild chances on things. And sometimes they work and sometimes they're hilariously bad. Yeah. But when they work, they're great.
Hilariously bad ones. I can tell already. But Matt, appreciate you guys, man.
Later, Zay.
Appreciate it, Zay. Thank you to Chip as well. Always appreciate the lead in there. Little lead into Open Gym here, 4 to 6 p.m. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan here from Texas Longhorns on SI. On today's show, we'll recap a little bit more. A couple more teams gone in the NBA. The NFL schedules are officially out, so we can talk about those now as well. We're also going to have Ryan Chapman coming on from 107.7 The Franchise in Oklahoma to talk about Oklahoma as we start to preview some SEC teams throughout the offseason, and Oklahoma in the minds of everybody right now as well, because Texas baseball taking on Oklahoma tonight. So we'll get into that, some Texas football talk as well as we continue down the show today. It should be a good one, Matt. But yeah, I don't like, who wants to watch a drama about John Madden? Was there that much strife in it? Or is it just a guy who loves football that rides a bus and then's like famous for a video? I don't know what the strife in his life is to make this a drama movie other than John Madden just seemed like a fun, happy guy.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with John Madden's story before he was an announcer, because it was before my time. But I tend to agree with you. I mean, there's some coaches out there where you could theoretically make a decent movie about their life story. Like, I feel like Steve Sarkisian could be one day, where, especially if he becomes super successful and wins a bunch of national championships and that kind of thing. Like, he struggled early in his career once he became a head coach and had some personal issues, and now he's coming out the other side. But like,
yeah, I'm not the right guy to talk, because I'd be like, so we're just gonna watch the worst point in his life for like an hour and 45 minutes, and the last 15 minutes is like, and then he cleaned up and was a really great coach.
Yeah,
so that's a ton you can do in that end. Like, I know that there was the movie that they did, The Express, and they made Texas out to look a little bit more racist than they were in that movie. And like, I personally met several people that were like, some of the people that were in that movie, and their reaction was, oh, it's cool that we're the bad guys in it. Like, they needed a bad guy, and we're the bad guys now. So I like, there's movies like that where you're like, I get you have to vilify some people, and then it's just like, but those are real people. They weren't really the villains.
Yeah, it seems like Hollywood's kind of running out of ideas for some of these sports movies, man, because this is not something that I'm particularly interested in seeing. No. I mean, I love John Madden, don't get me wrong, but this is it's like what, like, are we like, did he do anything historically awesome with the Raiders? I mean, he win? I mean, I'm pretty sure he won a title.
He did, but still, it's like, if there's not any real conflict in it, and it's literally just, well, Al Davis is crazy and John Madden was just a kind of crazy. I don't get it, but that's why I don't watch a lot of movies. So, yeah, according to CV, yeah, Rudy, all that stuff. Like, yeah, none of that stuff really happened. That's not really. And I saw the Colts got in trouble. I didn't see the video though before it got taken down, so I don't really know what they got in trouble for. They just said they put Tyreek Hill in something that apparently Tyreek Hill thought was funny, but they took it down, and then they went over what they could have done with Microsoft. That's what I know, but I didn't see any of it. So I like the way they did it this year. It felt like it was backwards, because there was the big schedule release show, so they could profit off of it. But they should have just let the people release the schedules throughout the day, and then we would have watched all those fun videos. But I'm not going to watch the video once the schedule's out. Like, I don't want to go back and watch the schedule.
I have no interest in those videos. I just waited for the graphic to come out, and then that was it.
Because I think they're clever and smart and everything, but if you put them out after the fact, it's too late. We already know now. And so that's where I was like, I think it was just the NFL was like, oh, we're not making enough money off of this, so we should do our own show and make more money off of it. That way we can, screw the teams. We want to make our money, which we'll give back to the teams. It's a weird, I don't know what it was. In the video, Tyreek Hill got arrested by the Coast Guard. I see. Yeah, that makes sense. That's about right for Tyreek Hill. I did see this morning started off very poorly for me. I got my phone updated overnight, and I don't know if anybody's gotten a new update recently. That they changed up everything, and it made me feel like the oldest man because they made my widgets smaller So it's harder to read everything on my phone now. And I don't have terrible vision, especially up close. But it was just like I liked the way it was. And so I was like, why are they all so small now? Why does everything have to be so small now? It's just clearly designed by some kid who's 20 years old with 20/20 eyesight. And
I'm sure you can go in and change it in the settings.
I have tried so many times. It does not work the way I want it to work anymore. So I'm upset. I fixed some of the things in it, but that one I'm not thrilled about this morning. So it's just automatically. It's always fun to wake up and before you even get to the bad news of the day, which is every day now, you just open your phone and you're already upset before you get to that. Was a new level of anger waking up this morning. But I hope everybody else has had a good one. We're on Thursday. We're almost to the weekend, so it should be a fun week as we wrap this one up. We have a lot of stuff we didn't even get into yesterday. We'll get into today. The interview with Ryan Chapman is going to be a lot of fun too. Talking a lot of Oklahoma stuff because they did have an exciting offseason. They did some things. Basketball, they've got a top 10 pick in the draft as well that we can get into. And then you also got to throw in the fact that we're playing them tonight, this weekend in baseball. So a lot to get into over there. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. Ryan's a good buddy of mine, so we've known each other for a while, dating back to when I first started with SI, actually. So he's about as good as it gets when it comes to Oklahoma media. So it should be a great interview and a lot of fun.
Yes, and we'll remind everybody on the chat line, we're playing nice today, friendly today. No trash talk until after the interview's over, and then you can trash talk all you want. But before, we'll play nice today as we get into it. Let's talk a little NBA, and then I want to get into the NFL schedules and look through the Texans and Cowboys and see if anything we notice about there. But I want to talk a little bit about, we did see two games last night. First, the second game. The Timberwolves did what they were supposed to do. They knocked off the Warriors. This is really this series felt so bad that Steph Curry wasn't there, because there's one good part is we saw the Jonathan Kuminga coming out party. But on the flip side of that, this Warriors team does not really feel like it deserves to be in the Western Conference Finals. Like, they were played close by a team that was really held together by, like, the best player on the team wasn't there, and they weren't able to run away with this series. They really should have had some wider margins. They really should have been able to close this one out quicker than they did. They've gotten 2 wins now over teams that just felt like they fell apart. And I guess part of that is due to what the Timberwolves are doing. But, man, it just doesn't feel like the most threatening team in the world right now in the Minnesota Timberwolves. It feels like they're somewhat getting handed the Western Conference Finals, and whoever comes in on the other side of that's just going to knock them off in 4 or 5 games. Like, it doesn't feel like this Western Conference Finals is going to be as electric as it should be.
No, I tend to agree with you. I think it'll still be fun because I think Anthony Edwards is just so much fun to watch. But I tend to agree with you. Like, no matter who wins this Oklahoma City Denver series, which I'm pretty sure we think is going to be Oklahoma City, but whoever ends up winning that series outright is probably going to be my pick in that series to go to the finals, just because I think both of them are more complete teams than Minnesota. They seem more balanced. Right now, Minnesota kind of seems like they have Anthony Edwards, and that's about it.
I mean, Julius Randle's been playing out of his mind in these last couple of games because Anthony Edwards didn't show up. Anthony Edwards doesn't play in the first half either. And maybe that's just in this series, and maybe he'll pick it up. But he has had lackluster. He had 6 points at half this game. Like, I just don't get Anthony Edwards as the killer superstar that he's supposed to be, because he's really good in the second half and he finishes off, but he's finishing off a Warriors team that before the Jimmy Butler trade wasn't going to make the playoffs. And then a Warriors team that Steph Curry gets hurt and immediately then they went out and they win the next 4 games with no Steph Curry. It's like, I get we can claim Anthony Edwards did well, but he didn't. Like, they should be winning these games by 35 because they should be out by 30 at the half because Anthony Edwards puts on a performance, but he doesn't. He just doesn't seem to care until it gets until the second half. And then he's had to come out in 2 of those games and give a halftime speech. But it just, I don't get it because I know he can play better. We see him doing the second half, but the fact that he's not trying harder right now really just makes me think, oh, this guy's not going to get it done when push comes to shove against a really good team. And that's what's disappointing about this series. We saw Kuminga hits off 26. Podziemski finally woke up, had 28 in the game. Jimmy Butler only had 17. His role was really kind of beat down where they could focus just on him. that really slowed him down. And you can tell Jimmy Butler is aging a little bit now. Father Time is undefeated, that he's maybe getting to the back end why he really wanted that one more big contract. He's like, yeah, my days of taking over and running the gym are somewhat gone now. And it ends up at the end of the day that Timberwolves, Julius Randle kills it 43 minutes, has 29 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, has a really good game. Julius Randle, that pickup of where you went from Karl Anthony Towns to Julius Randle, and it felt like the Timberwolves were maybe taking a step back with that trade. Not the case. Julius Randle fits with this team way better than Karl Anthony Towns did. It's making Rudy Gobert a better player in certain situations, and Julius Randle's just finding his home. And now he's always kind of been this streaky player that has runs, but Julius Randle hype might be coming up. He's going to be the big piece going up against, Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren if OKC does go off and finish that series.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you about Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards. Julius Randle specifically, I've never really bought into him because of his streakiness, and there's been so many occasions where he's just kind of disappeared and not, lived up to his talent necessarily. He's been doing it so far in this playoffs, but I have doubts that that's going to continue through 2 more series if they want to win a title. In the Anthony Edwards thing, I mean, you make a great point. Last year against the Mavericks, he kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
And that's why they struggled in that series, and he disappears in the first half in some of these games. I do think it says something that he comes out in the second half and plays a lot better, but you would obviously like to see him play a more complete a more complete game in both halves. If he can't do that against a better team like an Oklahoma City or a Denver, then they're going to have a really hard time winning one of those series. But maybe he's trying to conserve energy in the first half in these games because he knows this series is pretty much over, and he's going into it like, all right, I just need to do what I need to do in the first half to get through it, and then the second half, if I need to push, I'll push, but I want to save my energy for the conference finals. I don't think that's a great approach by any stretch of the imagination, but if that's what he's doing, then that's what he's doing. But at the end of the day, you get to the Western Conference Finals regardless, and you feel pretty good about it. I don't see them progressing much farther, but we'll see what happens in this next series, because I think if it's Oklahoma City, it's not a close series. I think if it's Denver, it's a lot closer, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be OKC anyway.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be that. We also saw the Boston Celtics hold off on elimination. They came to play in that game. And there's kind of a funny part of the story, because I told you yesterday, I was like, well, if they just shoot threes, then this is not a good game plan. The reality was they didn't really do that to get their lead. To get the lead, to get a big lead, they did not do that. They did do it by the end of the game. By the end of the game, they had shot threes out of the building. They shot 49 threes in this game. That's way too many. But that was a lot of that was the bench coming in, guys coming in off the bench near the end of the game, even the starters. They just stopped really trying to go inside because they were hitting some threes and they didn't want to play tough, which again should fall back on Missoula. Like, you got to lead. Just go inside and pound the paint, man. Get easy buckets. Easy buckets. Stop this. But they just take threes at the end. Derek White has a phenomenal game. He's 7 of 13 from 3. So why would you tell him to stop shooting them if he's hitting them at that clip? You tell him to keep going. He has 34 points, really carries the team in the first half. Jaylen Brown does a good job. They focus attention on him. He ends up with 26 and 12 assists. So he picks up his production as well in the game. And you saw a Celtics team really trying to form around themselves. And it is this team that they're a really good team without Jason Tatum. They've played well this season without Jason Tatum because they have so many good players on the team. I don't know if that'll be able to last now that we saw a Knicks team take really their best shot, which was, again, hitting 22 3-pointers, which was Derek White having an unbelievable game. I'm a big Derek White fan. He's a Spurs guy. I love him. But at the same part, you're not expecting him to have a 34-point game every single night. You expect them to be able to slow him down a little bit more. And you expect the foul trouble to not necessarily be there. Karl Anthony Towns gets into foul trouble. Jalen Brunson ends up fouling out of the game. But I told you yesterday, I want to see this Boston team, if they want to win, you have to go drive the ball at Karl Anthony Towns and try and take him out of his game. They were able to do that. He has 19 points. Not as big of a factor as they want him to be. Jalen Brunson fouls out, only 22 points. So Josh Hart has to carry the weight. That's not what you want to have. Mikal Bridges shoots 4 of 14. OG Anunoby, 1 of 12. Your defense is able to work on the other guys. You force the hand to Josh Hart. That's kind of what you want to do offensively against this Knicks team, is force the ball to Josh Hart, because he's their worst offensive player. He can still play. He's not a bad player, but he's their worst offensive option. So you want to force the ball to him. And they were able to do it. They got their way defensively. They got their way offensively and pulled out a big win. I'm still not saying they're going to win this series, but that was a big win to show some heart for Boston last night.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Jaylen Brown in particular. Like, obviously, Derek White's the easy one to point out because of his shooting and his total points. But I was really impressed with Jaylen Brown just kind of taking on the role that he took on without Jason Tatum in the offense. He was distributing the ball. He was rebounding. He took a lot of high percentage shots. I think he only shot 5 threes and he hit 3 of them. So that's great. Which means he had 12 shots inside the 3-point line, which I love to see. I love to see guys getting to the rim and hitting mid-range jumpers and doing that kind of a thing. And it seems like they changed their game plan a little bit. I still don't think they're a better team without Jason Tatum. Like, I saw Emmanuel Acho on ESPN saying that Boston is a better basketball team without Jason Tatum on the floor, and I just don't buy that. I don't know that what they did last night is sustainable. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point. Is they're not a better basketball team, but they do rally around themselves. Jaylen Brown can have some big games. Derek White has some games. As it eventually would go, is you figure them out a little bit more. You're able to put some pressure on some different guys. And the question is, can they now pull off one more game and make this really, really interesting? Or does New York go ahead and put their foot on the throat? It just didn't feel like this was the same New York team we watched that was so aggressive. It felt like all the air went out of the room with the Jason Tatum injury, and it went out of the room for the Knicks too. And that's where they just have to get it back and go, we're this second round. I get this sucks that he's hurt, but this is a second round. Let's just close him out and we'll go play Indy. Like, we haven't won anything yet. So we don't need to have this asterisk theory or whatever else you're going to put on that. I think that you have to, at the end of the day, just go out there and have a better mindset going into it. It'll be at home for them as well. So it feels like they'll be able to close this one out on Friday night. But this Boston team, if they continue to play well, that defense was really just constricting on this Knicks team for 3 quarters before they kind of just said at the end, we're going to let you go. They scored 17 points in the third quarter, did the Knicks, for Boston to go ahead and take that lead and just push away. That was a 32-17 quarter right there. That's where everything kind of changed for this Knicks team, or for the Celtics team. You don't see that quarter happening. Other than that, the game was somewhat even. I get they outscored them in the fourth, but that was with Scruggs coming in, and they were just nailing threes at the end of that game. Like, it was just really ridiculous because all Boston was doing was throwing up threes, and then the Knicks were not necessarily doing anything better offensively. So at the end of the day, I thought that Boston would show some fights. They definitely did in this game, and then gets a 25-point win. You got to feel pretty good about it. And for Jason Tatum, he's like, this doesn't bode well. This is going to be a lot of all-season talk for me. Just do you keep a guy with a torn Achilles, or what do you do? Because you're better without him, which you're not. But I get the sentiment.
Yeah, there's going to be noise around it, but at the end of the day, I think they know that he is their franchise player. Assuming he can come back from this injury, which isn't like a guarantee. Like, there's a very good possibility he's not the same player after this. But if he can get back there, then he's still one of the best players in the NBA. He's still their franchise player. So I don't get I hear all this stuff. Like, I see it on ESPN all the time. And granted, they kind of sensationalize things a lot, especially on shows like First Take and that kind of thing. But they're like, the Jason Tatum disrespect. It's like, I don't think that there's any disrespect for Jason Tatum.
No,
like, he just won a title. He just got a massive extension. He was just part of a team that was great in the international games. He didn't play a whole lot against Serbia because of the lineups, but like, nobody is disrespecting Jason Tatum at all. So I don't get that whole narrative.
Well, I get why they think that he's being disrespected. It's because no one likes Jason Tatum, and they keep trying to make him something that he isn't. He's never going to be super popular. He's a jerk kid from Duke who has no personality whatsoever, and his only personality is complaining about people saying he has no personality. If you watch, there's videos of him too after he wins a title, and he does every meme cliche. He tries to do it his own way because he doesn't have his own personality at all. So he tries to do the Kevin Garnett. He tries to do the Kobe Bryant. He's trying to make these moments special, and they're all so corny and awful. And you're like, look, we get it. You're a Celtic. We're not supposed to like you. That doesn't mean we don't think you're good at basketball. And if we thought you were not good at basketball, we wouldn't care about you. So there's respect in it. But at the same part, we just don't care. I don't want to see you in commercials. I don't want to see you anywhere else. I don't think you're an entertaining player. You just shoot a ton of threes. It's like nothing about you makes me want to cheer for you or care about you. But you're really good. So we will, but you're not you're not a charismatic person. Like Steph Curry is at least charismatic. And so even though he's kind of corny at times and everything else, he's a charismatic person. And Jason Tatum is not. And so there's not disrespect, just a lot of malaise and people being like, oh, that guy that I didn't like is gone and they're still winning. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. There's nothing really that sticks out about Jason Tatum other than, he's got a good relationship with his kid, and that's kind of a nice thing. Yeah. But like, there's nothing that really sets him apart from anybody else on that roster in terms of like, I really love watching this guy play, and I really love listening to this guy talk, and I love his commercials. Like, if you're like, I hear people talk about him potentially being the face of the NBA. I'm like, that's never going to happen because he's not a marketable person. Like Kobe Bryant was marketable. Luka Doncic is marketable. LeBron is marketable. Steph is marketable. Like he's just not. And it's fine.
And that's what I say, like Kobe Bryant could come out and say, you can hate me or whatever else. And it came off as like genuine, legitimate. And when Jason Tatum says it, it comes off as a spoiled kid whining. Like, dude, I get you put in the work. I get you did all that. It just doesn't make and you're a good father. You're good, all those things. You're just a boring dude. You're just a boring guy whose entire life revolves around basketball, which is fine because that's going to make you a better basketball player. But you just don't have any charisma to you. So you're never going to be the face of the league. It just be really good. And people will give you all the credit when your career is over because your stats will end up showing it. And so people will really be in it. Also, he's not the most clutch guy in the world, which he hits a bit and before he gets hurt, hits a big clutch three and then comes down the other end and gets a shot block to lose the game. You're like, there's another reason you're not going to be the face. It's because in big moments, you have a little bit and then it disappears. And Rodney, I can agree with you a little bit. I wasn't watching it that closely at the end of the game, but it did, Brunson was definitely very frustrated in that game. All the Knicks were very frustrated because they just, they weren't up for it. And it's like, you can't really get up for something, if you're not up for it for the beginning of a game, it's really, really hard to turn it on in the second half. If you didn't go through your pregame warmups with that, if you didn't have the intensity earlier, it's hard to really kick in that intensity later. So, I mean, it is what it is. I think they'll play better. We get another game tonight that could be a closeout game for OKC. They'll be on the road in Denver. This is another one that is going to be really interesting to see what we get from Adelman as a coach of the Nuggets. Like last game we saw, Michael Porter Jr. played a bunch of minutes and was really ineffective. Jokic played a ton of minutes. Murray played a ton of minutes, and their legs were gone at the end of the game. They were missing everything they took at the end of the game. Are they going to try and use a different strategy or just say, screw it, we're going out on our sword. You guys power up because there is no tomorrow if you miss this shot. Or if you miss this game, there's no tomorrow. So might as well go out on your sword and play these guys 42 minutes anyway. I don't know what he's going to do. I think he should rest him. I think he should be preparing for a game 7 and thinking with the mindset of, guys, we're going to win tonight. Let's go win this game and play a game 7 instead of the back up against the wall. Let's go out on our sword. I'm all for preparing for the right solution instead of dreading it. And I just don't know what we're going to see out of Denver with a team that seems very team ran right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I'm never going to count out the Nuggets. I've said this 100 times now on the show, and it's probably starting to annoy people at this point, but like, I'm never going to count the Nuggets out as long as Jokic is on the floor and playing well. It just kind of feels like Oklahoma City's figured it out. So I would expect them to win this game, but every time that I've said that I expect Oklahoma City to win one of these games, the Nuggets come out with Jokic and he goes for like 40 and 15 rebounds and 37,000 assists and is super efficient, and they win the game. So I'm not going to count my chickens here by any stretch of the imagination, but it just feels like Oklahoma City's figured out what they need to do to get through this series, and they're going to go on to the next round tonight.
Yeah, and it does feel like Oklahoma City is not necessarily the team that's going to let their foot off the gas on this one. I think they understand what's happening and the opportunity they have after winning Game 5. They just feel, I know they're really young, but I don't know if there's anyone on that team that can walk out and say, well, no, I'm good enough. Well, we'll win. I'll be able to turn it on. I feel like they have a lot of guys on that team that are like that understand what their role is and will be ready to go. So I think this could be the end of the road for the Nuggets. If they do get a win, it'd be nice because they do get Saturday off as well. The Game 7 would be on Sunday if it does end up happening, but we will see if they're able to get that done. Rodney says Joker's legs are gone on the 3, so he's grinding it out in other ways. I mean, they are. By the end of the game, they're gone in every way. I mean, he just has no way to get it going at the end of the day, at the end of the games, because he's playing too many minutes and he's having to do and grind and go for every rebound. And he's really trying hard. You can't say that his heart's not in the game, but this is why you have coaches that make tough decisions and maybe aren't liked the most, because they can get you in a better position to win in the fourth quarter. And right now it's a very player-ran team. At least it seems that way. And that would make you believe that they're still going to get their way as they go into this. And I mean, if you're David Adelman, you're the assistant coach that's taking over as interim coach. You're like, look, I'm kind of damned if I do and damned if I don't. So I might as well try and win the game and do what I think's right instead of just listening to the players. If I get knocked out in the second round, I'm not keeping this job. I'm not going to go, what a great job you did. You had a lead and you blew it, and OKC came back. You're going to say, we're going to go out and hire somebody else. But if you can go out there and win a couple more games and you make it to the Western Conference Finals, it'll be a lot harder for them to not hire you as the next coach of the Nuggets. So I'm just saying, I would go out there and try and be the coach and deliver some hard truths to Michael Porter Jr. and to Jamal Murray and to Jokic. Just be like, dude, we're doing what's best for you, and that's playing 37 to 38 minutes. I'm going to give you a couple more breaks in this game. That's it. I'm not taking you down to 35. I'm not killing you, but I need to have you out of this game a little bit more so that in the fourth quarter, when they play 19 guys because they're deep, because they have 47 draft picks every single year, because Sam Presti just lined this team up really well, and they have all these players with a lot of talent that they can weave in and weave out and give them a little bit of a break and not have too much of a loss. I'm going to take you out. Like, Jokic's plus minus is not great because he's in all the time. So he's in on the pluses and he's in on the minuses. He's in too much. You want to get that plus up for Nikola Jokic and the plus minus. That's when you go, okay, I know that our bench is going to be a little bit on the bad side, but when Jokic is in, he becomes such a force that they can't beat us. And that's not the case right now because he's just too worn down.
Yeah, no, I agree. He needs to find a way to make sure Jokic is fresh at the end of this game, or otherwise I don't think the Nuggets are going to have a chance. There's something to be said about the way that the Nuggets have approached this series, because, I mean, you're absolutely right. They've just gotten worn down because, I mean, Jokic can't play 45 minutes in a game. Like, his body is too large. His legs give out too much, and it affects him at the end of the game. And like guys like Michael Porter Jr., who are going out there injured and not being effective and really are just a big minus on you for that entire game, it's affecting your ability to win. So if you want to be the head coach of this team going forward, you have to find a way to do what's right by these players and kind of assert yourself here and be like, look, I get that this has kind of been a player run show here for a little bit, and we've been doing things the way that you want to do them. But if we're gonna have a chance to win this series, I need you to be fresh. We have to find a way to get you a little bit of extra rest here, so that when it comes down to crunch time, you're not sucking wind and having to use a oxygen machine during the during the timeout. I mean, they haven't had to do that, but you know what I mean. Like, you got to be fresh. You can't. If you don't have your legs in basketball,
you're done. You're
You're
toast.
done. Yeah,
You're toast, and that's the reality of it. And everyone knows this, and we've just seen it. And it wasn't so much that we saw it and everything else. It was watching the post game when they asked him about it, and he basically said, "Oh, I don't think so." And then in the moment, it felt like he realized he had screwed up, because he just goes, "Yeah, and if that's the case, that's on me, and I should be the one doing it. But I don't think that. But I'll watch the film and we'll see." And that really felt like he just wasn't aware of how little he was resting his guys, that he really didn't think it was so obvious that they had the no legs. And maybe on the rewatch he would have known it anyway. But that post game where he was like just kind of accepting that he screwed up, like, yeah, I get they don't want to come out, but you can't say Joker said that he was okay to go. We get it. He's a basketball player. Everyone's going to say that all the time. No, I mean, very few players are going to say I got to come out unless they're sick or they're hurt. And then they'll come over and go, I physically can't do this right now. But very few guys will call themselves out, especially superstars who are used to playing 38 minutes, because they're like, it's only 6-7 more minutes that I got to play. But the problem is those 6 or 7 is the difference. It's like when you're running. If you go work out or do whatever, and if you do your normal workout, you're fine. But if you push yourself just a little bit more, you may be dead. You may not be able to walk the next day. If you did leg day or do whatever else. So you can pick and choose when you do it. But when you're doing it night in and night out, pushing yourself to that, personal best, it's going to take a toll, and it's taking its toll on this Nuggets team. And I think maybe it's a little too late for that now, but because this OKC team's really good. But we'll see, because Denver keeps surprising, as you say. Denver keeps surprising everybody. And they will not die. They're the cockroach of the NBA. Everyone thought they're gone with Mike Malone. They're still fighting right now. So we'll see how they come out at the end of this game. Let's talk a little NFL schedule here, Matt, because we did get the final release last night. And we get to go now into the world of seeing the Cowboys and Texans schedule, seeing some of the bigger games as well. And I want to get into the Cowboys schedule, because now we get to see how they line up week to week. I have not seen, I'm sure somebody has already gone through and done the which teams do you have to play with the glare and see how that schedule works out. I've not really gone into, I guess it's all just the afternoon games, and we don't know necessarily times for every game yet. But we do know some of the weekend games we'll know what times they are at. But let's go down the schedule. We'll do our schedule game for the Cowboys here, Matt, and see where we're at, because we've talked about that over-under being about 7.5, and maybe feeling that's a little low, maybe feeling that this Cowboys team can win some more games. But I want to see where you're at after we know what the schedule is, when we know the runs of it, when their bye week is, how we feel they're going to be able to get through it. And if anybody on the chat wants to throw in what their prediction is for the Cowboys next year, feel free to throw those in as well.
Before we start this,
yes,
I'm going to give before we go through the entire schedule, because I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
I'm going to preface this by saying I think the Cowboys are going to go 10-7 or 11-6. That might change by the time we get through this, because I haven't gone through game by game. But there is a couple stretches in here that give me some pause. So just throwing that out there.
All right. Well, let's start off. Week 1, you're headed to Philadelphia. It is on NBC, the first game of the season, the Cowboys and the Eagles. I think the Cowboys lose this game. I know they've been pretty good on the opening games because they keep playing the Giants. But this feels like the Eagles just are going to come out rocking and rolling after having the banner, everything else. If it was at Cowboys Stadium, maybe a little bit more of an edge to Cowboys, but I have a loss here. What do you think?
Yeah, I've got a loss here as well. The Eagles have outscored the Cowboys 75-13 in their last 2 games, and one of those games was with Dak Prescott. So I know the Cowboys have added weapons and they've improved, but I just think the Eagles are the best team in football. And being at home, having the momentum of celebrating your Super Bowl against your biggest rival, I just don't have the Cowboys here. I think it'll be more competitive than the games were last year, but I don't think they're going to be able to come out of this one with a win.
Yeah, I think it'll be competitive. I think this Cowboys team will be competitive as long as they're healthy. I think they'll be competitive. But the early injuries to no Demo likely in the linebacker core, likely no Diggs as well in that secondary could be trouble for this Cowboys team early in the season. The Giants are week 2. You get a big game against the Giants here. This is a one that you're supposed to win, right? You're supposed to win this one, Matt.
Yeah, they're going to win this game. I think Jackson Dart's going to start at quarterback by the time the regular season rolls around. And the Cowboys, just to put it quite simply, they own the Giants right now. And I don't think that's going to change. Dak Prescott particularly owns the Giants. So I can't even remember the last time he lost to the Giants. I'd have to look it up because it's been a while, I feel like. So Cowboys get back in the win column here and start 1-1. I just don't think the Giants have the horses to keep up with anybody in the NFC East, let alone the Cowboys.
All right, let's go to week 3. We head over. It is September 21st. That is the Chicago Bears at the Chicago Bears. You get Caleb Williams in his second year. Apparently, there's a report that his book is coming out that says that Caleb Williams tried to find a way to not get drafted by the Bears, and they were trying to find workarounds and maybe going to the UFL for a year to try and not get drafted and pick where they go because quarterbacks go to die on the Bears. But you get a new coach in Ben Johnson. They spent a bunch of money on that offensive line. Do the Cowboys get a win on the road here in Chicago?
Yes, they do. I think the Bears are going to be a better football team. They did a lot this offseason to improve, but I think the Cowboys are just better right now. And I think it's going to take the Bears a little bit to kind of put things together with this new team that they put together. So I'm going to go with a win for the Cowboys here. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means, but I think it's going to be a Cowboys win for sure.
Yeah, I have the Cowboys winning that one as well as we keep rolling along here. By the way, I forgot to mention, because it is going to be of note as we continue on to this, that week 1 is the Thursday game. Just of note as we continue down this list, because that's going to be said a few times.
And Thursday games are always weird. They're always weird. So keep that in mind as well.
Now, this is the first game of the season, Thursday game, week 1, but Thursday games because the Cowboys are going to get practice at it this year. The week 4 game, you're going to be playing Green Bay at home. This is a Sunday game. It will be on NBC. It's a Sunday night football game against the Green Bay Packers. This team coming in, Matthew Golden coming to the team that thought maybe was going to draft him, decided to go a different route for this Green Bay team. I know I have high hopes for this, or high expectations for this Green Bay. I don't want to say hopes. I'm not rooting for Green Bay, but I have high expectations for this Green Bay team this year. I have this being a loss for the Cowboys. What do you think?
Yeah, that's my pick as well. The Packers are, in my opinion, on a serious rise. I think that they're going to compete for the NFC North, and with Matthew Golden on that team, are going to be a much more effective offense with Jordan Love. And the Packers are 11-3 against the Cowboys since the year 2000 and have won 9 of the last 10. So, and that's since 2010. So they kind of have the Cowboys number. And you go back to the last time they played at Jerry World with that just absolute blowout in the playoffs. I just think that the Packers are a better football team. So I've got the Packers here.
All right. Then we head to week 5, October 5th, the New York Jets, Justin Fields coming to Dallas. Or this is at the Jets. This is Justin Fields. This is a win, right? It's got to be.
Yeah, this is a win. The Jets just aren't there, so I've got a Cowboys win. This is an easy one for me.
All right, now a little bit more interesting this season at Carolina. You are playing a Carolina team that has not been good, but this year is going to be a very big year for Carolina. You're going to be at the Panthers Stadium. You could this is a revenge game for Mingo as well. This is his revenge game if he can come back. I don't know. I mean, come on. This is one. I don't know if this is the Panthers could be a surprise one for some people. What do you got?
Nah, Cowboys win this one easy.
Easy.
The Panthers are going to be a good football team eventually. They have a lot
Yeah.
of really young offensive talent. I just think they're too young right now on offense. So I don't think this is a close one either.
I think it'll be close. I think Dallas wins, but I don't. When I say close, I think it'll be within 10 points. I think it'll be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, within 10 points is fine. I just don't think it's going to be like a, last second field goal win for the Cowboys or anything.
I could see Carolina having the ball in their hands, down 10 points, and like maybe get a field goal, maybe get a touchdown, and try and come back and win at the end, but not really having the chance to do it. But yeah, I still have that as a win for the Panthers. So far, we're deadlocked on us so far. Now we're gonna head down to week 7 and the Washington Commanders. First matchup with the Commanders here. It is going to be, I believe this is a Sun game. This is a 3:25 game for the Washington. So I believe these are the Sun games, right? The 7:25 ones.
I think those are the
3:25 games are the Sun games, right? So that is your first Sun game of the season, I believe, because the Bears is at Chicago. So this is your first 3:25 game versus the Commanders. Sun in your eyes, Sun in Jaden Daniels' eyes. What do you see in this one?
So last season, the Cowboys split with the Commanders. I think that's going to be the case again this year. But I have Washington winning the first one.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with Washington there.
All right. Then week 8, the Cowboys play the Denver Broncos. This is at Denver, so the 3:25 game does not matter. There's no sun in the Mile High City. They're closer to the sun, but that is the Mile High City. This Denver Broncos team, a lot of questions. Sophomore slump for Bo Nix, possibly. Can Sean Payton continue the ride? They're in a tough division as well. What do you think about this game between the Broncos and the Cowboys?
The altitude is going to play a major factor here, in my opinion. Also, I think the Broncos are going to have the best defense in the NFL. There's a genuine question about the sophomore slump with Bo Nix, but I think the Broncos. I think this is the Cowboys' worst loss of the season so far. I think they get blown out here.
Okay. I have a losses as well. I'm not saying blown out. I think they'll get blown out at home more than on the road. I don't know why that, but I feel like they get blown out
because that's what happened last year.
Yeah, I know. I feel like they're going to get blown out at home more. Week 9, you get the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. This is going into a bye week. Monday Night Football against Kyler Murray and the boys. What do you got?
Cowboys win this one easy as well. I don't buy the Cardinals. I don't buy Kyler Murray. He plays too much Call of Duty when he should be watching film. So, and hey, props to him. I like playing Call of Duty as well, but you got to do your job first. So,
all right.
So Cowboys win here, which by my count has them at 5-4 at their first bye week.
Yes,
their only bye week. I mean,
all right, we're lockstep 5-4 going into that first bye week. I'm wondering where we're going to break, or if you're just going to come in below what you thought, because I was not at 10-11 wins. Now we go into Monday Night Football. It is the Raiders. So Monday Night Football in back-to-back games, but there is a bye week in between for week 11 now. The Raiders coming out. Geno Smith's Raiders. They're going to really try and improve on that defensive side of the football, run the ball with Ashton Janty. Does Ashton Janty go for 400 against his Cowboys team? I mean, this is is the run defense going to be better against Ashton Janty, or is this, Monday Night Football, maybe his big coming out party in the NFL where he has a huge game? I'm just saying this Cowboys team, a year ago, that would have been the time to watch, to put all your money on the overs on Ashton Janty. So what do you got for us?
Yeah. I think that the Raiders have a chance to be this year's Commanders, only with their running back being the star that carries them instead of their rookie quarterback. I still have the Cowboys winning this one, though. I think they're going to be a lot more improved on the defensive side of the ball, and obviously being more balanced on offense is going to help as well. So I think that they're just a little bit better offensively overall than what the Raiders are going to be. So I'm going to go with Dallas here. So they're 6-4 now.
6-4 going into a Week 12 matchup. 3:25 game against the Eagles there at Jerry World. Sun in their eyes. How do you feel about the Eagles? Second time you meet them. You got a loss in the first one. Can they split the series now on a Sunday? Their home field advantage, as Jerry says, with the sun in the eyes. Can they get it done?
No, they can't. This is a loss for me.
Jerry said it's a home field advantage, though.
I mean, that's true. If you want to look at it through Jerry's, blue and silver lenses, but like I said, the Eagles have outscored the Cowboys 75-13 in their last two games. I mean, if something's going to happen to change that, it's going to be at home, but I don't see it happening.
All right, let's roll down into week 13. It's Thanksgiving. Here is the second Thursday night game for the Cowboys this season. They're playing against the Chiefs 3:30 on Thanksgiving Day. This Chiefs team has been a team that has come away and won a lot of games the last couple of years. What do you think?
I got the Chiefs here. I'm going to pick the Chiefs in every game that they play in, as long as Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback.
Odds are that's a good call. That's
because they're going to get these BS roughing the passer penalties and pass interferences and all this stuff.
There's the hate. Let it flow through you.
But I mean, they're one of the best teams in football still. Like, don't get me wrong. They just get a lot of calls, and I'm not saying the NFL is rigged in that sense, but they just do, because that's what happens for star players and star quarterbacks. So I got Kansas City here. I do think it's going to be an entertaining game, though. I'll put it that way.
We continue this stretch. By the way, this stretch right here you're in is a really tough stretch for this Cowboys team. Between week 12 and week 17 is a rough road.
This is something that I'm glad you're bringing that up, because this is let me look at the actual stat here. So from weeks 12 to 17 through 17, the Cowboys play the Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, and Commanders. All of those teams won at least 11 games last season. The Cowboys will be the first team in NFL history to play 6 straight games against teams that all won 11 plus games the previous season.
Yeah,
it's per Adam Schefter.
It is a tough road for you go off that Monday, you get the bye week, you play a Monday night football game against Ashton Jancy to see if your run defense is really fixed, and then it is nonstop till the last game of the season, and then you stop a little bit the last game of the season. But other than that, it's a really tough road. Continuing week 14, this is not a holiday, but it's a Thursday game for you. On Thursday the 4th, they take on the Detroit Lions, another team that is going to have a little flux this season. Let's remember, there's a Lions team that lost both coordinators. They're coming back. David Montgomery is going to be coming off an injury field year. See if he's going to be able the same kind of way with Jahmyr Gibbs there in the backfield. Can they continue what they're doing? Is Jared Goff, who we know has been really good with certain coaches and not really good with other ones, what does this Lions team do against the Cowboys in week 14?
I think they blow them out. The Cowboys are not a match for the Lions in any sense of the word. I think Aiden Hutchinson will probably be back to full strength by then. And I have the Lions actually winning pretty big here. So, this is not going to be a good one for Dallas. This is not the kind of environment that they thrive in.
All right, week 15, we roll into against the Minnesota Vikings. Sunday night football on week 15, going against a team with J.J. McCarthy now at the helm. But this defense is really good. Brian Flores had this defense going strong last year. What do you think about week 15?
I have the Cowboys winning here because I think J.J. McCarthy is the most overrated quarterback that has come through the NFL draft in a long time. I think he's not going to be a good NFL quarterback. So I have the Cowboys winning this one at home. I do think it'll be closer, though, because I really like the Vikings defense. And they have Justin Jefferson, who, even if you have a bad quarterback, can put up some numbers for you. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys here.
All right. And then week 16, another one that's a little bit tough. The Chargers taking on the Chargers in week 16. This is Harbaugh's second year. He's got some more ammunition in the running back room now to run the ball a little bit better. Justin Herbert, another year under that system as they continue to roll along. This Chargers team looks to be improved this season. What do you think about a week 16 matchup?
I've got the Cowboys here again.
Yeah.
This is the one that I picked for the Cowboys that I'm the least confident about in terms of the win column. Just because I think Justin Herbert is the opposite of JJ McCarthy. I think he's super underrated, and now that he has some real weapons around him, he's going to be back to what he was a couple of years ago. And I think they're going to run the football a lot better. But I'm going to give the Cowboys the edge here on this one, just because first-year head coach with Jim Harbaugh. I don't know. I just have a feeling the Cowboys are going to get this one.
All right, we're going to roll into week 17. The Commanders taking on Christmas Day. It is the fourth Cowboys Thursday night game of the season. You said a series split, so you think a Christmas Day miracle for the Cowboys here?
I do. Yeah, I think that I don't have a really good explanation for why. I just think that they're going to split with the Commanders. And they beat the Commanders on the road last year, so I'm gonna go with that again. So yeah. It's another one I don't feel great about, but yeah, I'm gonna give them the win there. So they'll have 3 straight by that point.
All right, and finally we end up with the Giants. Are you going to winning on the way out?
Yes, I do. I think the Giants are dog water, so giving the Cowboys a win there as well. So they're going to end the season on a 4-game win streak in my book.
There's no way they end the season on a 4-game win streak, is there? That, like, out of that stretch, there's almost no way they end on a 4-game win streak, right? Like, that's what I think. I think that Lions-Minnesota stretch, or that Minnesota and Chargers, that one feels like if you come out of that 1-1, you feel pretty good about it because you're just going to be in such a rough stretch. So this is where it was different. It's the only game we really picked different was the Commanders. I gave them some other ones to get them to 9. You got them to 10. But I really feel like this could be an 8 to 9 win team very, very easily. Like I was kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt on some of these, but I mean, I get it. I will say you got them at 10-7, and I have them at 9-8. I think I'm closer. But we'll see at the end of the season. I think I'm a little bit closer. We saw Magic Man says 11-6, so he's going even higher. And Ike says 7-10, but I think Ike's hating a little bit.
I think that, I could make an argument for the Cowboys to be 7-10 just as easily as I can make an argument for them to be 11-6. That's how much variance there is in this schedule potentially.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So I kind of went a little lower on the lower end, a little bit more conservatively, and went 10-7. I could absolutely see 9-8. I could absolutely see 8-9. I could absolutely see 7-10. I think if they go 7-10, though, that means there's injury problems somewhere.
Exactly, and that's the reality of all of this. Is once we get into the season and we're pushing it with injuries and everything else, then we'll have to figure it out, right? So we'll have to get into it. All right, we're going to take a really quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to get with Ryan Chapman from 107.7 The Franchise in Oklahoma, talk about the Sooners playing nice today, fellas. Everybody in the chat, we're playing nice today. We're going to talk to Ryan here in a minute, get some words about this football program, what they've done in the offseason, the basketball program, the baseball program, everything as we begin our preview of the SEC over the offseason. So we'll take a really quick break and come back and hit that on the other side here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Hi, I'm Hayden Covert. Welcome to Covert Buick GMC of Bee Cave, your home in the Hill Country for new and pre-owned Buick and GMC vehicles. With beautiful inventory arriving daily, including the GMC Yukon, Sierra 1500, and Buick Enclave, you'll be certain to find the perfect vehicle at an incredible deal. Our service department is also open for all your vehicle maintenance needs. Visit us today for a test drive. Covert, born and raised in Austin. We are professional grade.
Altstadt Beer, the best beer that you can find all throughout the great state of Texas. Y'all know I've been a fan of Altstadt for years now, and if you try it, I think you will be too. If you've already tried it, you know exactly what I am talking about. Altstadt is brewed locally in Fredericksburg, but available all over the state of Texas. So if you're tuned in Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, it does not matter. You can find Altstadt at a local grocery store or liquor store. They've got a bunch of different brews, something for every beer drinker out there. The lager, the Kolsch, those are their two flagship beers, both award winners. They are fantastic. The Altstadt Light sacrifices on calories but does not sacrifice on the taste. They've got great pills, tons of great seasonals as well. I'm telling you, one sip and you won't go back to the other beers you've been drinking in the past. It is the official beer of BK. It should be the official beer of you as well. It's Altstadt Beer. No impurities, no regrets.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations. Today's home electronics can be a bit daunting. My company has spent the last 36 years making sure they are not. For those of you who have not experienced our services yet, we'd like to invite you to give us a try for all your home electronics needs. We carry all the major brands of televisions and stereo equipment at prices you can't find in stores. And we come to you. There's no need to leave your home to find great pricing and incomparable service. No traffic, inexperienced sales geeks, or pushy showroom tactics. We believe in having some fun and dreaming big. Do you have a dream for your home entertainment? Let us know. We can make it come true. And we are always there to help after the job is done. We cultivate clients for a lifetime by treating everyone like their family. No, not those family members. I'm talking about the ones you actually like. So relax, hug your kids, make love to your wife, and smile. Then, when you have a moment, give us a call at 255-8678. That's 512-255-8678. Or online at avconsultations.com.
Back here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered, myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan from Texas Longhorns on SI. And very happy to welcome in now a guest as we begin our series looking at different SEC teams over the next, 15, 16 weeks until we get to football. I know that seems like a long time, but we have the man, Ryan Chapman from 107.7, the franchise in Oklahoma, does the Sooner SI as well, the editor there. Glad to have you on the show, Ryan. Appreciate you joining us today.
What's up, boys? How are you doing?
We're doing good. It's a Thursday afternoon, and that means we're almost to the weekend. And that means it's a good time. Really appreciate you joining us today. It's been a big offseason for the Sooners, hasn't it? It is it's been a little bit of a rocky road is getting into the SEC, but now it feels like things are maybe pointing in a better direction. Just start off. How has the transition been to the SEC so far for Oklahoma and the people of Norman?
Yeah, it's a big divide, right? The men's side of the athletic department's gone about as poorly as you could ask. Obviously, Brent Venables embarrassed everybody in Norman, fell on his face. It was disgusting football. I think everyone watched it and knew it. Porter Moser, they rallied late on the basketball side of things, thanks to Jeremiah Fears. And then you take the turn and Ginny Bronchek and the women's basketball team bring it through to the Sweet 16. Been a while since they've been there. Patty Gasso at softball season around here, so she's about to get up and running again. And then KJ Kindler with women's gym, they did well, obviously, for themselves, took home a national championship. So it's been mixed. I think a lot of excitement. Everyone's enjoyed the SEC, road trips, everybody coming into Norman, all that stuff. But as you guys know, if the football machine isn't pumping in Norman, nobody's going to be truly happy.
That's the way it is here in Texas as well. Matt, do you got a question?
Yeah, well, first of all, welcome in, Ryan. Ryan's a good buddy of mine. We go back all the way to, I believe, the Under Armour recruiting camp in Dallas back in 2021 is where we first met. And it's always fun going to those. They always pretty much every time sit us next to each other at the Texas OU games. So we get to sit there and shoot the shit for a while, and it's a good time. But Ryan, I know that we're gonna talk a lot of football here, so I'm gonna go the other way for a second here, because I don't think that a lot of people outside of Oklahoma know that softball is right behind football in terms of excitement and what people get into up there. Obviously Oklahoma's been dominant in softball the last couple of years. Just absolute dynasty there right now. They're going into the tournament again. They're not the number one seed. What's the feeling around there not being the number one overall seed and being behind Texas A&M and the outlook there for them?
Yeah, they're cool with it. Patty Gasso has a line that she drops from time to time. It's They've won the tournament as a 10 seed. They've won it as a 1 seed. Last year, they were the 2 seed headed in this exact same spot, splitting with Texas, losing the regular season, and then getting the Big 12 championship at the tournament. So they're fine with it. I think everyone kind of understands, too, if that SEC championship had been able to play between Oklahoma and A&M, it probably just would have been, hey, whoever wins that, congrats, you're the 1 seed. The other team's the 2 seed. Everybody rock with it. So it's been the quiet confidence, a really different vibe this year. The last couple of teams, it's been so veteran laden that they've almost run themselves. It's felt like Patty Gasso was closer to sports psychologist and motivator than softball coach. And this year she reloaded 8 freshmen, a handful of really good impact transfers. And the big question this year is going to be, it feels like the pitching depth is not quite there what it usually is. You got Sam Landry, who transferred from Louisiana. She's the ace. You're comfortable if she's there. And then it's just kind of like spinning a wheel. And if you get a good start from any of the 4 other pitchers behind her on day 2. So don't think that'll pop up this weekend in regional play. But that'll be the big question like next weekend in Supers, if they can make it back to Oklahoma City and try to truly defend things. It's not going to be when Sam Landry's out there. It's what do you get from everybody else in the circle? Because the offense certainly has the power and the explosion that you're used to keep them in those games.
Yeah, I know the Oklahoma's happier with the 2 seed than not playing the championship game in the SEC tournament. No one's happy about that. One of the worst.
That was weird.
It's the first really bad thing. Yeah, it's the first really bad thing we've seen since joining the SEC. Was like, why would you cancel that game? Guys, find a way to do it. There's enough money involved in the SEC. You can take it from somewhere else. Make it happen. Make the game happen. Let's get back to football for a minute. It was a really big offseason for you guys. 2 of the biggest names, though, John Mateer, Jaden Ott. Those 2 names coming in. I've seen John Mateer and Jaden Ott either at the top or near the top of the list of transfers all through the offseason. People keep raving about how these guys are going to come in. Where do you sit with these 2 guys, and what do you think their impact is going to be next season for the Sooners?
Yeah, big. I mean, when you're talking about Oklahoma's offense, we're going to be grading on a massive curve here, and that curve being it was one of the worst units in school history last year. If you just go by different press conferences, and these are Brent Venables' words, not our words, abysmal, an embarrassment, a disaster. That's the head coach during the season talking about his own offense, obviously made that change there. So Brent Venables was aggressive, went out, and the first piece was getting Ben Arbuckle, the OC from Washington State, and it's kind of it's been likened to a Lincoln Riley-esque situation, mainly just because another West Texas guy, really, really young. The big difference there is Lincoln Riley had like 4 years to kind of figure stuff out at East Carolina. Arbuckle has had 1 year at Western Kentucky, 2 years at Wazoo, and then he's coming in. But I think Oklahoma's hoping to get a similar impact, different offense, different style of guys. But you saw what Vanderbilt was able to do last year, bringing in a OC quarterback duo. I think Oklahoma's hoping to kind of get that up and running because this is going to be Mateer's 3rd year in this system. Oklahoma kind of had that when Dylan Gabriel and Jeff Lebby came in, but the difference was that Gabriel and Lebby hadn't worked together for 2 years at that point, 2 or 3 years. So it was kind of relearn each other and all that stuff. John Mateer is running the offense just as much as Ben Arbuckle is. So it feels like that is going to be a pretty seamless transition. The questions around Mateer are just going to be, hey, you are a big-time runner of the football against a Pac-2 schedule. What does that look like when you step up into what you see week in, week out along both lines of scrimmage in the SEC? So that'll be a big question there. And then Jaden Ott, I think, is huge, massive. Oklahoma's lacked a true home run threat for a while out of the backfield. You go back, Eric Gray in his 2nd year transferring from Tennessee had a little bit of that in him. Kennedy Brooks was a little different. He was an excellent runner, but I don't know if anyone thought that he was going to be a one cut and, oh my gosh, he's in the end zone. Jaden Ott brings that kind of potential. It's a huge kind of gift for John Mateer coming from, that was really Oklahoma's new general manager, Jim Nagy, coming over from the Senior Bowl, who's, we can talk about the front office restructure. That's kind of been one of the big talking points around Oklahoma this offseason. But Mateer and Ott, you feel like you have a lot more experience than what was essentially a redshirt freshman and a true freshman who were starting at running back and quarterback by the end of last year. So a lot of it's going to be, hey, Oklahoma didn't get a healthy wide receiver on the field a year ago. Most of those guys left. Last year, the offensive line was going to be a huge question, and then they were so banged up that I did not think they were going to be a good unit, but you couldn't even tell if at their healthiest they were going to be that. They've got more depth along the offensive line this year Still going to be massive questions, though. It's a lot of really, really young guys. Are you going to be able to throw a true freshman Michael Fasusi out there and keep John Mateer upright? If so, things should be a lot better on the offensive side of the ball. If not, they're going to be better, but not better to the point where you're winning football games substantially.
Yeah, better in the SEC.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, on John Mateer, like there's been so much hype around him in this, spring window about like a lot of people think he's going to be the next Cam Ward. A lot of people are putting him in these top 10 quarterback lists, like super high up there. But he's coming from a different place, right? He's coming from Washington State. This is a different offense. There's different receivers. It's a much tougher, much tougher schedule in the SEC. You're facing much higher competition. What's the feeling in Norman about John Mateer, and what are the expectations of him? Are they more on the realistic side, or people hyping him up? And how do you feel he's actually going to go on in the field next year?
Yeah, I mean, the hype machine on John Mateer is kind of off the rails a little bit, to a point that I'm just like, guys, he came from Washington State. Like, he could be great, but maybe pump the brakes a little bit. I think that what you're looking at is, when you think about Cam Ward and that offense, I think you're thinking about a guy that stood in there, was throwing all over the place, so Miami was running up and down the field. And Mateer can hit you deep, but he's more of going to make a quick decision. He seems to be like aggressively self-aware as far as, yes, I can fit into this window. No, that's a window I can't fit into. And that was kind of one of his stories of this offseason, was Oklahoma's defense was good a year ago. And so trying to play almost outside of himself during spring ball to see, he's trying to use that as I'm getting adjusted to the speed and the physicality of the SEC. I'm like, okay, can't fit this with Oklahoma's DB, stuff like that. But a lot of what he wants to do is run the ball on the ground. I mean, most of his touchdowns, a guy that finished in the top 10 in total touchdowns, came from being able to just move the offense with his feet and then finding tight ends in the red zone. Oklahoma continues to recruit D2 and FCS guys at tight ends, which is another conversation. So I don't think that's going to be a big factor for John Mateer in this offense this year. But I think that he's going to find out pretty quickly, like, what hits he can take, what hits he can't take. The biggest thing, though, for Oklahoma is, do you have someone that is not going to just crap themselves 2 seconds into a play and then fumble the football? That's what you saw with Jackson Arnold, is he was putting the ball on the ground in the most spectacular ways. So if you avoid that, then you can at least try to play a little bit more game control, which is what Brent Venables would like to do. I mean, his ideal game plan is how the Alabama game played out. Quarterback running the ball a lot, being able to keep the ball on the ground, let the defense work. And I think Mateer is going to be able to do that. I just don't see this comes in and he's suddenly a top 5 passer and just absolutely shredding SEC defenses. I don't know where that's going to come from. I don't think they've got the talent up front to do that. And there's a ton of questions at wide receiver still, because you're getting Deion Burks back, who was a really popular transfer a year ago. He had a hamstring injury that kept him out of most of the year, so you didn't get to actually see him in SEC play. Otherwise, they replaced essentially the entire wide receiver room. A bunch of guys that were hurt, but you're breaking in new guys that we've never seen do it at a substantial level in college football.
Yeah, and that goes into, you've rebuilt several position groups, and we just talked about quarterback and running back. Where are you right now where you feel this position group is the scariest to other teams, and this position group is the scariest to us? Where are you at of the two position groups that you feel the best about and you feel the worst about?
Yeah, the tight ends just don't exist for Oklahoma right now. I mean, they got a guy from Pittsburgh State, Kennesaw State. They moved a linebacker over to tight. That's what Oklahoma's working with at tight end. So we're going to put them over to the side, because the open question is, why does Joe John Finley still have a job? Guys, there were seriously, there were periods in the winter portal where you're going, is Oklahoma offering guys at tight end? What's that? So they get their own special category. The interior of the offensive line, I think, is going to be really interesting. You've got this blend of older veteran guys who are smart, good leaders, but I don't know if they have the size or physicality to truly be an elite unit in the SEC. That starts with a guy like Troy Everett, the center. He's the unquestioned leader of the group, very intelligent, has his arms around the new offensive system, but he's just too small. He was a guy that was too small to play guard in the Big 12, got kind of slotted over to center, played hurt last year, but Oklahoma brought in Jake Michael in the post-spring window from Stanford after that staff blew up to try and compete there. Then you're looking at, okay, they've got some youngsters, a guy, Eddie Pierre-Louis, who's a rising sophomore. he's like the most aggressive, most exciting piece on the interior of the offensive line. Can he find a spot is kind of the question. You've got former North Texas guard Fabechi Wiwu, who's the guy that started every game, was not good. So can he like take that job? And then one of the big questions with Oklahoma too, the offensive line, the left side of the line from last year, Logan Howland was a redshirt freshman. Heath Ozida was a redshirt freshman. Those two guys got progressively better throughout the end of the year, where you'd say the left side of the line was just a normal, really young, mistake-riddled, but they were getting there. And then both those guys had shoulder cleanups and missed all of spring practice. So it's kind of hard of like, what is the development going to look like there for Oklahoma's offensive line? If all the young guys are hurt, you're relying on the old guys who they're returning production, but we get into the question of like, is returning production good if it's bad production? And that's kind of what you're going to be looking at there. The strengths, all of that's going to come from the defensive side of the ball. I think you flip that over and you look and see Danny Stutzman get drafted by the Saints, and you might think, okay, what's it going to be like with Oklahoma's linebackers? Well, Kip Lewis was kind of the emerging star right next to him. The only knock on Kip is he's probably 10 pounds too light. He added those 10 pounds this offseason. And then beside him, you've got Kobe McKenzie, who's more of a traditional just heavy hitter. He's the guy that Brent Venables like concrete in his helmet. He came along toward the end of last year. And then there's a guy, Sammy Omosigo, who played as more their hybrid outside linebacker that they bounced inside to compete with Kobe McKenzie. So as long as Kip Lewis is healthy, it feels like Oklahoma's got really, really good depth at those two inside linebacker spots and playing right behind that defensive tackle group that with Jaden Jackson, who's a freshman All-American type guy, and a bunch of depth right beside him. It feels like kind of the spine of the defense led by the linebackers should be good again, and they're going to have to be.
I like it. I like it.
And, you know, you're bringing in a new quarterback. You're bringing in a new running back. You're also bringing in a new offensive coordinator. They hired Ben Arbuckle as the offensive coordinator in December. He was with John Mateer at Washington State. But how is this? Do you think this offense is going to look any different? I mean, it's not the same thing that they had up there in Washington State. It's just so many different players. How is this offense going to change from the product that we saw last year that had so much trouble moving the football and keeping control of the football and making explosive plays with almost no quarterback play to this? You know, everything is brand new. So how is this all going to fit and gel together, and what's it going to look like?
Still going to be a spread offense. Arbuckle's a Kitley disciple, so if anyone's watched Kitley call plays at Tech, then they're going to know that that's pretty much what that thing's going to look like, the Western Kentucky offense. And so they want to run the football, though. That's the one thing. Ben Arbuckle, though he's an air raid guy, he does like to run the football, and he should blend really, really well and has blended really, really well with Bill Bedenbaugh, Oklahoma's offensive line coach, who has a history out there at Texas Tech and coming up in. So that should look pretty similar to just what Oklahoma's offenses have rolled out there. Here's going to be the biggest difference. Seth Luttrell, he was trying to blend a little bit of what he did with Larry Fedora at North Carolina in years past, a little bit of what Kevin Wilson did. He had Graham Harrell under him for a little bit at North Texas when he was a head coach. And then he also was trying to take like the parts of the Jeff Levy playbook that he liked still. And it was this weird, like Frankenstein's monster hodgepodge. And I don't think that Oklahoma could tell you what, like, if everything went great, what are they trying to do offensively? And that's going to be the biggest difference is that Ben Arbuckle, he wants to use those tight ends along the line of scrimmage to block, open up big holes. And he wants to use, give the quarterback a bunch of power with a bunch of option routes, basically at the line of scrimmage of him and the receivers to kind of figure it out. And then you're going to see a lot of attacking deep downfield from the slot. That's where Deion Burks is going to come back in. And then Oklahoma picked up Isaiah Sategna from Arkansas to come in and be another one of those guys that can kind of stretch you vertically from the inside. They'll move them all around, but that's kind of what they want it to look like. And again, there's a lot of faith that because John Mateer is in his third year in the system, they'll be able to continue to do basically like player-led OTAs, all that fun stuff in the summer where John Mateer, it's not him trying to figure it out. He knows it and he can bring it in. And part of that is Ben Arbuckle after the spring finale practice thing that they put on, basically said, he's like, honestly, the install went a lot faster than I thought. He feels like they have about 85% of the stuff installed already. So now it's just going to be about learning it, getting better at it, and really a lot of those position battles along the offensive line. I think that's kind of what fall camp's going to be all about.
All right, so you set the over-unders right now at 7. We know Brent Venables is, I don't know if I want to say hot seat, but it's warm. It's warm
piping
right
hot.
now.
It's hot. You can say it. It's hot. He knows it.
What do you feel about the over under, and what do you feel about the expectations for Brent Venables? What does he have to do to get the instilled confidence that the entire Sooner Nation is not coming for his job going into the last couple weeks of the season?
Yeah, I'll take the back half of that first, because I think it's like really difficult to try and figure out to put a number on, like, he needs to win this number of games, because this is not like an Auburn with Brian Harsin situation, right? Everyone in Norman, admin, fans, like, they love Brent Venables and want this thing to work so bad. It's like the blend of nostalgia from the Stoops era and what he did in his stint as defensive coordinator. He gets it as far as like the toughness, blue collar. He can, in a press conference, play the hits and everybody's like, yeah, that kind of thing. Admin at Oklahoma is traditionally, they like to be very, very steady. They like continuity. They like to be able to build. And there's a legit understanding that you take last year's SEC schedule, which is really tough, flip it around. And then the non-conference, they're playing Temple again. They've got Illinois State. They got Kent State. But basically the best non-conference game last year was Tulane, and they're replacing that with Michigan in week 2. So it's one of those things where you could say, hey, if Oklahoma finishes 8-4, if I told you guys that a head coach at Oklahoma has gone 6-7, 10-3 without a berth in the conference championship game, 6-7, 8-4, I think everyone would say, well, that's not going to go well. That's going to be the axe. I think the context would matter a great deal. Is it, did you lose a heartbreaker to Texas, and did you lose by a field goal at Alabama, and did you get, run at South Carolina? Like, what does that look like? I don't have faith that Oklahoma will get into those conversations. I think 7 is the perfect number. A big thing that is kind of under talked about too, Brent Venables has had trouble managing games at certain points. The perfect example, if anyone watched the OU Missouri game last year, Oklahoma pulls off this perfectly called, perfectly timed fake punt. Sidelines going nuts, including Brent Venables. Sidelines going so nuts that they have to take a delay of game immediately after getting set up in the red zone, because they can't just get the guys off the sideline. And you're like, hey, man, you called the fake punt, and you should know that, tell the offense, hey, we're probably going to be going back in here if this thing works, and they can't get a playoff. And that game management stuff, they ran like a good 2-minute warning in the first half against Ole Miss. They pop up and have one really good game each of the 3 years, but timeout management, stuff like that has been an issue. And he's calling the defense now. There's no illusions. Brent Venables basically said, Zach Alley left. He went to West Virginia. So he said, I'm just going to take all that on. I'm going to do all that. So can Brent Venables successfully call the defense while also managing the game? It's a 29-year-old offensive coordinator who's entering his 4th year as an OC. His resume for 3 years is as good as it gets, but this all feels like 1 or 2 steps beyond being able to put it together with this schedule and everything's going. Maybe you get some breaks. The Nico situation at Tennessee makes that road game look a little bit easier for anyone walking to Knoxville. You get a true freshman quarterback in all likelihood at Michigan coming into Norman week 2 against the Brent Venables defense. You get Auburn, and whether it's Deuce or Jackson Arnold, that's in week 4 before they can kind of get their feet under them. So there's some spots in the schedule where you go, it's not great, but it's as good as it could have been for Oklahoma. I just don't see where they make that huge leap forward with what we've seen in 3 years. I mean, we're talking about even his best year, it was one of the worst schedules Oklahoma's ever had. And it's basically a once-in-a-decade event to be able to be Oklahoma in the Big 12, beat Texas, and not play for a conference championship. And that was Brent Venables' good year. His 2 years on the side of that are 2 6-7 years. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the good year. And we're going, well, this is what's happening here.
Yeah, and obviously the Texas game has always kind of been the hinge in that schedule that's put Oklahoma over the top when they win, and when they lose, it's kind of the same way for both teams for the most part. Whoever wins that game, the rest of the other team, the rest of the season, it's kind of disappointing. Texas kind of overcame that in 23 by winning the Big 12 and going to the college football playoff, but historically that's been the case. So that a lot hinges on that game for both teams every single year. It's always a weird game no matter what. I mean, I remember sitting in the press box with you in 2023 saying, like being very confident that Texas was going to win that game. Oklahoma comes back and they win. And then I was like, all right, see you in Arlington. Or I guess this is in 2022 or anyway, like I'll see you in Arlington.
23. Yeah.
23. And I was like, I'll see you in Arlington. And then, Oklahoma loses another couple games here and there, and it falls through the cracks. And we were both pretty disappointed in that. But So it's going to come down to that game again this year, I think, for both teams and a certain extent. So how do you see Oklahoma with their current makeup matching up with this Texas team? And do you think they have a shot to pull an upset?
I think defensively, great matchup, probably not like a great matchup, but as far as what Oklahoma has on the interior and what they can do to frustrate teams, I mean, the strength of Oklahoma's team last year was it was hard to run on Oklahoma, even when the offense was not firing. And I mean, really, no one was able to run in a big, substantial way. Now, the big thing is Arch has, to me, more quality starting experience than John Mateer does for a guy that's like stepping in. You look at the weapons and what Steve Sarkisian has done. I mean, he's just, it's the pipeline, it's the factory. It's what a place like Oklahoma, Alabama, Texas should look like, right? You graduate a bunch of guys out, you send a bunch of guys to the draft. Guess what? 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. So I think Oklahoma will have the defense to stay in that game. The whole question is just going to be, can Oklahoma's offensive line keep them in that football game? And right now, the game is at an awesome hinge point in the schedule, because by that time you're looking at, okay, Michael Fasusi, can he be a guy that takes over one of those tackle spots by then? Can Eddie Pierre-Louis, who we talked about, if those guys are taking it on, then it's almost like you live with some of the mistakes, but physically they look every bit like big-time SEC offensive linemen that could hold up to that. But then you're talking about, is Oklahoma really going to roll into the Cotton Bowl with a true freshman, a sophomore, a center that is going to be undersized for what they're fighting with up the middle? I just don't see where it goes. Like the matchup does not look super favorable for Oklahoma. The big wild card is that game usually doesn't matter when it comes to matchups and stuff. It's like flip the coin, head to the Cotton Bowl, unless Brent Venables was coaching. And then, 2 of the 3 games where they should have got just smoked, they did get smoked. But that's usually the big X factor that you kind of lean on there. I think that Oklahoma, though, is set up to give Texas a much better game than obviously 2 of the last 3 years. But I still think there's a comfortable, 10 to 14 point separation that is not a big, like, sweating. It's always Oklahoma trying to like stay in the game as opposed to really asserting pressure on Texas by leveling it up or being within a field goal, that kind of game.
Yeah, I go with that. We got Ryan Chapman here from 107.7 The Franchise in Oklahoma, also editor over there at the Sooner SI channel. Let's talk for a minute about basketball, since we talked about one coach that's somewhat on a hot seat. There's a basketball coach who, y'all had a similar season to what Texas did last year, where it was kind of just getting slapped around a little bit in the SEC with that really good conference of basketball. Of course, Texas did not keep their coach, but Oklahoma did. You lose some really good players. I want to talk about Jeremiah Fears here in a minute too. But what is the forecast for 2025 for the Oklahoma Sooners in basketball? Does this team look to be improving as you get some more transfer portal additions? I know it's always a new team every year now, so it's always kind of taking guesses at what they're going to be. But where do you see the forecast of that, and how much longer has Porter Mosier got rope before they kindly come after him, or is he far enough down the pecking order that maybe he can coast by just making the tournament for a few more years?
Yeah, I think this is a make the tournament year again. That was certainly last year. It was, you got to make the tournament or it's done. And he did, and they pushed Connecticut, but it was fine. Oklahoma on the NIL front has just kind of left men's basketball in the corner for the last couple of years. And that was the biggest, I don't know if anyone there saw the Trae Young assistant GM, yada, yada. The biggest thing there is that Trae Young donated $1 million. Like that was the biggest thing. And by Trae saying, hey, I'm dropping $1 million in, anybody else that wants to contribute to NIL on the basketball front, you're not going to be the only person. Come with me. And so you're taking guesses at rosters, but I think this is the most educated guess that Porter's taken. He's taken a lot of like, hey, get a 6-man type player from a Power 5 conference and then try to fill with a bunch of lower level guys that you hope can take the step up. That's not been what Oklahoma's done this year. The first piece was Nigel Pack coming in, so that was huge. Him and Tay Davis coming from Notre Dame. You've got actual experience at the guard position with Nigel Pack, and you've got athletic ability and size with Tay Davis. Xavier Brown coming in. He from St. Joe's was really good there. Then you have Darion Reed from Alabama to kind of like backfill some of that, along with they are getting Mo Wagee back, who came on strong at the end of last year, the former Alabama center who stepped over. Then they've got a Kai Rogers from the Overtime Elite League, another big-time center that you hope. Oklahoma has just been perpetually undersized. Even the Kruger teams were massively undersized. And while you might not have like a Janai Broom style physical presence, certainly not the caliber of Janai Broom, you're going to have a lot bigger 2 to 4, just being able to throw a lot more size out there. So I think there's a lot of expectation, hope that this team can step up out of the cellar of the conference and be firmly just they're going to be a middle of the road team in the SEC. Probably they're going to be able to bring teams into Norman, and Nigel Pack's going to be able to break somebody's heart, and they should be firmly in the tournament. If things break right, maybe you can get higher than like a 5 seed or something like that. But I think that like 5 through 7 seed, just a really solid team. And that's something that Porter Moser's not really had the luxury of having, just because they've been dumpster diving in the portal, getting guys from Siena, trying to project that. And you're like, this is not going to go well. It didn't go well in the Big 12 with all the veterans and all the elite defense that was played. And it certainly did not go well for the vast portion, the early part of the year, until Jeremiah Fears came along. And that was something that even kind of fell in Oklahoma's lap anyway. That wasn't the original plan for Fears. It certainly worked out, but
So let's say Oklahoma gets a 5 seed or a 6 seed or a 7 seed. They're somewhere in there, right? They perform well in the SEC tournament. They get to March Madness, and then they drop round 1. They get upset. Is Porter Moser in trouble at that point?
I think the fans are upset, and I think Joe Ciglione, the AD, is just like, keep rolling with it, that kind of thing. Joe has a pretty hands-off approach with the basketball program. If you make the tournament and you're not embarrassing the program, like the athletic department off the court, he's probably going to let you roll with it for the most part.
I like it. What can you tell me, since we have the draft lottery just happening? The Rockets got a pick at 10, the Spurs at 14. Jeremiah Fears in that range, probably a top 10 pick in the draft. What can you tell me as somebody who watched a lot of Jeremiah Fears? What can an NBA team expect out of him?
The big swing on him, and since the lottery in Utah fell down, there's been a couple of whispers at the combine that Utah might take a look at it. The big thing for me, he doesn't have the 3-point shot right now that would make you a nailed on like top 5 type guy. But if he lands with like the Rockets, he lands with the Spurs, someone like that, all you need to do is pull up highlights, an extended highlight package from that OU UConn game. Dan Hurley spent all week game planning for him, and Jeremiah Fears picked them apart in the pick and roll. Now, did he get teammates that hit shots and anything like that to really cash in on his work? No, but he's got the size. He can play a little bit more defense, I think, if he's empowered to. At Oklahoma, it was kind of like, hey, man, you're the hub of the entire offense. You don't need to be busted for every single loose ball, that kind of stuff. But he's really fluid handles. He can heat up, even if the 3-point shot's inconsistent. That was a big part of why Oklahoma was able to upset Michigan in the Jumpman Classic, one of their big non-con games, is that Fears just went nuclear from deep, dropped 30 on Michigan, stuff like that. But he is just really hard to speed him up. He can attack you downhill. He's got a really comfortable pull-up game near the free throw line, or he can get to the rim. And he's got that athletic arrogance, that psycho that you want, as far as all the guys told a story of Trae Young came back to Norman last summer, right when he had arrived on campus. And Jeremiah just basically talked enough shit that he forced Trae Young into playing him one-on-one, like that kind of stuff. And so he's got that kind of mentality of like, I'm going to go at you type thing that I think everyone would love. And that's the kind of thing I think you're looking for, because he is young. He was a reclassified, should have been a high school senior, reclassified up. He's going to have to make some improvements, but he definitely feels like to be a guy. Everyone always sung high praises about his work ethic behind the scenes, and obviously he's a competitor. So if he's put into a good spot, I feel comfortable about him developing into a pretty good guard. I don't know what that looks like. I know that Giovanni at Draft Express had kind of compared him to Darius Garland coming out of Vandy. So I could see that a little bit, but definitely something where I think you'd be really, really excited with what he can do attacking downhill, especially if he lands with a Wemby operation there and all the space that they would have to play with that.
Nice.
Okay, so Oklahoma also had one of the weirder things happen this offseason with a guy named Duke Miles. Duke Miles is at Oklahoma last year, commits to Virginia, then changes his mind, commits to Texas A&M, signs an NLI, asks to get out of that NLI, decommits from A&M, and then transfers to Vanderbilt. Number one, is he going to stay at Vanderbilt? Number two, what the hell is this guy thinking? Where is his brain at? Why is all this happening?
I have no idea. He's a guy, too, that Oklahoma would have been happy for him to come back and use his extra year as well. Now, his role would have changed drastically. He would have got shifted over to the bench. So I don't know if he wanted to come back to lose a starting job. Duke's a good dude when we talk to him. I have no idea, candidly, what A&M, Vanderbilt, I can see what Virginia maybe saw in him. I don't know what either of those schools think he's going to do to help. I think that everybody saw him in the SEC, and a big part of the early disasters for Oklahoma was like, Jeremiah Fears is trying to learn. You need to lean on one of those veteran guys, and Duke Miles was just terrible at times. So I don't know what's going to happen there. If he sticks at Vanderbilt, I would hope with everything that is not a starting situation for Vanderbilt if they want to like maintain what they did a year ago. But we'll see. It's been bizarre for us because we're just like, we would like to be done with you. You've transferred. That's how that works in this biz, right? Like you're no longer on the team I cover. Wish you the best. You were good. You were always good to cover. So whenever we see you again, I'll say what's up. Wish you well. But I would like to be done with the Duke Miles story. And he keeps trying to give us fodder. Unfortunately, nobody cares. It's not like a ratings driver for us. It's just Duke Miles is busy work right now.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Jonte Cook situation at Texas. Like every couple weeks, something pops up with Jonte Cook, and we're just like, all right, man, like let's just move on from this. I'm tired of writing the same thing about Jonte Cook every single like bi-weekly.
How far down the line do you have to get before it's officially not your problem? That would
they have
a couple of those.
Yeah, they have to be no longer. They have to be an X somewhere else, and neither of these guys are an X somewhere else yet. They got to play in one other uniform first.
We're just trying to get them on the court for game one. That's all we're trying to just suit up for game one, get on the court for game one, and we can pass you off to somebody else. That's what we've tried to do.
Ryan, I appreciate you hanging out with us. Before I let you go, though, we do have a big series starting tonight in baseball as well. Oklahoma is fighting to be above 500. They are going to look like they're going to be a team to make the field of 64, though. Get in there and be able to compete in the for a spot in the College World Series. But a big series for the Longhorns, well, trying to come in and win the SEC outright, the season title in their first year. They've been on a slump recently for Texas, but what can you tell me about this baseball team and Kyson Witherspoon, the man who's pitching tonight, who said just had a really good season?
Yeah, if Oklahoma's got any shot to really frustrate Texas in this series, it's going to come tonight because Witherspoon has just been nails. He's a Golden Spikes candidate, all that stuff. And there have been times where he's not been unhittable, but he's been pretty dang close. The strikeout numbers are really good. This year, his worst starts, for the most part, have come when he issues a couple of walks and then immediately erases that issue and gets out of the inning, and he just kind of rolls. He is coming off what I would say is probably his worst start of SEC play, though. Kentucky got after, I think it was the third inning of that series opener last weekend. And for Oklahoma, I'm just really curious what the bounce back spot is for them. They were going into last weekend thinking, hey, if you could get 3 at Kentucky, I know it's a tall task to get a road sweep, but certainly if you could get 2 of 3, and no one was going to like say they're favorites to win a series against Texas, obviously, but if you could somehow manufacture 2 wins against Texas and go down to Hoover and win a game, then they might have been going from on the bubble to trying to host a regional for back-to-back years to suddenly that's dead. Now they're just trying to lock up, run up the score and try and be one of those top 2 seeds. The offense, it's taken a little bit of a dip. Dayton Taki, who was playing at first base, he slid in and basically fractured his ankle, and that has really messed with the offensive flow because they had really gotten locked in. Replacing him at first was one issue, but it was replacing his bat. Now, he was upgraded to questionable for this series. I would think if he has any kind of involvement, it's going to be a pinch hit spot here or there. We talked to Skip Johnson, the coach, this morning, and he had basically said, right now it's a pain management thing. He took a BP yesterday, and the ankle was still really, really, really tender. So you get the juices flowing, and Skip goes to him in the dugout in the 7th inning with a couple on and says, hey, you want to take a couple hacks? I'm sure that Taki will say yes. So if that happens, then we'll see. But the thing that's hurt Oklahoma, whether it's Kyson Witherspoon, his brother Malachi Witherspoon, who you'll probably see Saturday, the Thursday series screwed me up, but Saturday, or Cade Crossland, who will be the starter tomorrow, Oklahoma's defense behind him has been so touch and go. It's just some weekends it's great. Other weekends they're just dropping pop flies, and you you guys played an elite level in high school, right? Like, what's going on here? So if Oklahoma's going to scratch anything out of the series, it's got to start tonight. And I think you'll know. Everyone will know. The defensive jitters seem to be like a weekend-long thing that start in the opener and then kind of carry over. So if everything's buttoned up tight and Kyson's throwing tonight, then it'll be a situation where if he's dealing, Oklahoma's got a shot in this opener. And then if you can scratch across the opener, then it kind of just becomes a pick your spots if you can grab one more. I would expect Texas to win the series pretty comfortably with the way the offense has gone the last couple of weekends, but it's going to be kind of on the shoulders of Kyson tonight.
Appreciate it, man. Ryan Chapman from 107.7 The Franchise in Oklahoma, also running the Sooner SI channel over there. Ryan, where can everybody find you if they want to keep up with Sooner stuff and get the info, when Sooner news breaks and Longhorns need to know about it?
Yeah, just hit us up at Sooners on SI on Twitter or @ Ryan Chapman. That's the easiest spot to go. And you're just going to have to wade through a horde of Thunder tweets and a horde of Chelsea soccer tweets. If you're cool with that, then you'll be able to find any Oklahoma news you need.
All right. Well, we both said we're not picking against Denver, but we both think the Thunder are going to win. So it's going to be an interesting one tonight. I'll let you go and get ready for that. And Oklahoma, Texas football or baseball as well. I really appreciate you coming on and joining us today, Ryan.
Beautiful. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Shout out there to Ryan Chapman. Really good conversation there about Oklahoma and learning some of the stuff that we didn't know as we start to get into our preview of the SEC. And it's a big opponent for us. So I'm glad to hear that he does not have the confidence that they're going to be able to beat Texas this year, because they're scary every year. No matter, I don't care if they rolled up and they're like, well, we're on our 7th string quarterback and most of our team has the flu. You'd still be like, they're going to find a way, aren't they? They're going to be too cocky. It's always that game. I hate it.
Yeah. One of the reasons I appreciate Ryan so much and his big boss over there, John Hoover, is they're very realistic. They're very objective in what they do. It's very easy in this business when your entire focus is one team to kind of get a little bias or have a little bit of extra juice in there. But both of them are fantastic at their job, and they do a great job covering the Sooners, and both good buddies of mine. So everybody should go check them out, si.com/college/Sooners, and at their socials. You're going to get a lot of good Oklahoma content there, especially around Texas OU time. They do a lot of good stuff there too.
All right, why don't we take our second break? We'll come back. I want to get into this top quarterback wide receiver duos article that came out the other day and talk about, too, maybe look at some of the greatest quarterback wide receiver duos in Texas history. See where you guys fall on that as well. When we come back here on Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
At Sleep Cycle Center, we can treat your sleep apnea in various ways. My story starts 15 years ago with the loss of my father to undiagnosed untreated sleep apnea. And this is a very preventable disease, and treatment options are various. Millions of people across America have sleep apnea, and they fail to realize the early warning signs. Fatigue, daytime sleepiness, and snoring are the most common signs. We'll find the best solution using advanced technology, oral and epigenetic appliances, or CPAP. We offer weight loss, oral surgery, and laser treatments. Schedule your appointment today and get your sleep evaluation.
If you're looking to remodel a kitchen, renovate your bathroom, or maybe add some new life to your outdoor space, reach out to our friends at McCall Custom Homes. They are custom home builders and renovators here in Central Texas, and they've been doing it in Central Texas for more than 40 years. It's a father-son team with a ton of experience, and all of that experience is here in the Austin area. So they know what it takes to turn an Austin area home into something truly, truly special. Right now, our friends at McCall Custom Homes are offering free estimates to TSU listeners so they can come out to your place, hear your vision, they can tell you what they can do, and then you can go from there. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their website, McCallCustomHomesATX.com. Look at the gallery of jobs they've done over the last 4 decades. And then when you're ready, again, reach out to them and they will come to you. McCallCustomHomesATX.com, or you can call or text Mike McCall directly at 512-633-9580. It's McCall Custom Homes. We build value into your home.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations.
And Camilla McKay, the new website manager.
Yes, it's true. The kid is officially on the payroll. But more importantly, hockey season is wrapping up in the playoffs, and the baseball season is kicking off.
Don't worry, old man. I've already been to a couple games at school up in Boston.
Then I'm going to pretend I'm not jealous and get back to this friggin' commercial. So just want to remind everyone that big screen TVs are great, but they are not home theaters. I'm here to tell you, you should have a home theater. A projector and 120-inch screen costs about the same as a high-end 85-inch TV.
It is awful nice when I want to watch sitcoms and reality TV at the same time.
Ugh. So, whether you're reminiscing with childhood home videos or drowning out the kids' commotion with your surround sound home theater, Audiovisual has the tools and services you need to meet and exceed your viewing needs.
Hey, Dad, how soon is too soon to ask for a promotion?
Generate your first million, then we'll talk.
Shit, I got work to do.
That's right, so tell them what they need to do.
Give us a call at 512-255-8678 or visit us online at avconsultations.com. And remember to hug your kids, laugh with strangers, and make love to whoever the hell you want.
Give us a call at 512-255-8678.
Back here in Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered, myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan from Texas Longhorns on SI. A good interview there with Ryan Chapman. Appreciate him coming on, but I want to get into this list that I found the other day, Matt, about the best quarterback and wide receiver combos going into the college season of 2025. This is by Brad Crawford over there at 24/7 Sports. Because there is a Texas list on here, and it is interesting because some of these are new receivers with quarterbacks. Some of them are combined. They've played together before, but I thought it was interesting because we've talked about that circle of trust at the Texas wide receiver position, and we've had some famous connections in the past. But going down this list, we'll start off with the top of the list and go down the other way. Their number one is Sam Leavitt and Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson was one of the big wins they got in the offseason in the transfer portal. That is who they're kind of expecting this to take up some of that real estate owned by Cam Scadaboo that really got them going last year. This is the connection that they're hoping leads them back to a college football playoff berth. I don't know if it's going to be enough. There's a lot that goes into it when you lose Cam. But they believe Jordan Tyson is going to be that big piece that helps them out. Do you think this is going to be top? I know that you're not the Leavitt guy, so say, is this a top 3 connection in college football next year, Matt?
It's certainly not my number one. I'll tell you that. It's an interesting one to me because the thing about this is there's not a ton of like great wide receiver quarterback duos coming back this year. There's either turnover at one spot or the other for a lot of these situations. Arizona State is one of those that's coming back, that's bringing back both guys. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt there. Jordan Tyson was fantastic when he was healthy last year, and him not being able to do much in the Texas game was unfortunate for them, not unfortunate for us, but they're probably top 3. I don't have the number 1 just because I don't believe in that team going into next year. But those are going to be the 2 guys that really drive that offense next year, I think. So I'll give them top 3 at least.
Yeah, and I mean, this is, again, when you go down this list, you see some where it's really kind of taking a shot on one guy or the other. And it's like, well, we really like the quarterback, so we're going to pick a wide receiver to make him one of the top combos because this will be his guy. Or we really like this wide receiver, which is what you see with your number 2, which is not saying anything negative about Julian Sayin, but we just don't know what he's going to be yet. There's a lot more questions about Julian Sayin, but you assume in that Ohio State offense, but we know Jeremiah Smith is the man. We know he's really, really good. So this one falls in that the wide receiver, I think, is doing a lot of heavy lifting and making this the number 2.
Yeah, I would put this at number 3 for me, behind Leavitt and Tyson. The more I think about it, just because I don't know what there's going to be there with Julian Sayin. He's got all the talent in the world. Like he is much better suited for that offense and for pushing the ball down the field to Jeremiah Smith and Will Howard ever was. So that's going to be a dangerous duo if Julian Sayin puts it together, which I think he can. He was an incredibly high-rated recruit coming out of high school, so I think he's got the talent. It's just a matter of, in the bright lights against Texas in week 1, what does he look like? Against Michigan when you desperately need a win after the last few years, what does it look like? So that's my only hesitation there.
So then we get an interesting one for number 3. Again, this is a quarterback doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Garrett Nussmeier and Barry Brown. Barry Brown, the transfer from Kentucky, coming in this year, I believe, is who we're talking about. He gets brought in to this LSU team. He is looking like, Garrett Nussmeier, people believe really high things for him. People believe that he is going to be able to really step up. They love throwing the ball a ton there. But with Barry Brown, the question is, his numbers have kind of declined as he's gotten older in that Kentucky system. So it makes sense why he transfers. But is he going to be able to progress in a SEC offense instead of declining like he's done the last few years? Is that due to quarterback, or is that due to his ability? He's got tons of speed, and if Nussmeier can find him downfield, then they will be at least dynamic and have some huge plays.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that his decline in production was due to the quarterback situation there at Kentucky. I thought they just had terrible quarterback situation there last year, especially. So this is actually my number 1 on the list because I think that their skill sets fit so well together. Obviously, it's a lot of projection because they have never actually played together. But if Garrett Nussmeier is hitting on all cylinders and he's finding this guy down the field, they're going to have a lot of explosive plays and they're going to be hard to stop. So I have high hopes for them for sure.
So number 4, this is where the Longhorns come in. And I'll give you, this may be the first one on this list. Maybe number 1 falls into this too, where you go, oh, well, in all reality, Arch Manning could be the top quarterback taken in his draft, and Ryan Wingo could be the top wide receiver taken in his. We know the talent level of these two guys. Both of them can go up. So Arch Manning and Ryan Wingo comes in at number 4. This is a bit more about the unknown, I believe, is why they fall to 4. This is a list that you would assume going into next season, they're the number 1 with a bullet. If everything goes well for Texas, they're number 1, no questions asked next season. Because this Ryan Wingo, we know what he was able to do his freshman season. He's got the big body. He's got everything you could want. And then Arch Manning, enough we know. So this is, I think this is one of those ones where this could easily be the number 1 because of what those two guys are going to be able to be capable of doing in the next couple of years. But I understand why they're a little bit lower because neither one of them was the main guys last year.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. It has the potential to be number 1. But what does Arch do in a full season as a starter? Same kind of a situation with Julian saying we have a little bit more tape on Arch, so we're a little bit more confident there, obviously. But Ryan Wingo, can he stay healthy all season? Is he going to improve in the offense? Is he going to take on that number 1 wide receiver mantra? Those are all big questions. But they have all the talent in the world to make it happen. So I think 4 is a pretty good spot. Like 4 or 5 in the middle of this is a pretty good spot for them with the opportunity to be much higher.
Number 5 is Alabama, Ty Simpson and Ryan Williams. Again, Ryan Williams doing all the heavy lifting in this one. Again, it's Ty Simpson. We could be a good quarterback. A lot of people feel he's going to do better for this Alabama team than Jalen Milroe did because they just felt Jalen Milroe made too many mistakes, and they feel Ty Simpson may be able to fall into that. I don't know. It's always hard to start your first year and come out and, really improve on a guy that did get drafted to the NFL. It's not the easiest thing to do. If a program that can do that, it's Alabama. They've done it for many years in the past. Kalen DeBoer has been a really great coach. So this one makes sense at number 5.
Yeah, this is another one where I think it could go any one of, multiple directions. Ty Simpson was really highly rated recruit. He's extremely talented. But they also have another guy on that roster that's a true freshman named Keelan Russell, who is going to be nipping at his heels for that job. I would expect him to be a superstar at Alabama before it's all said and done. But Ryan Williams is just an absolute freak of nature. So if you put the ball anywhere within 20 yards of this guy, he's going to go get it. So this is another one of those for me that, like if Ty Simpson puts it together in year 1 and he's an effective quarterback and he can get the ball downfield to Ryan Williams, this is one of the ones that could shoot up there really highly just because Ryan Williams is such an animal. Texas is sick to their stomachs that they didn't get that guy last year, man. They're still sick to their stomach about it.
I think we've got a few good wide receivers, though. We got a few.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But can you imagine Ryan Williams and Ryan Wingo on the same football field?
No one else. Hey, everyone else is happy we didn't get him. Say that much. Florida, DJ Lagaway and Eugene Wilson, the third, are your number 6. That is one we'll have to match up with. At number 7, you get Clemson, Cade Klubnik, and Antonio Williams. And so this is one where you say Antonio Williams probably could, like, this is one where I think it was because they have a few different wide receivers. You're not sure which one is going to be the number 1 there. That's why that one slides down, but that would be a really good receiver core for Clemson coming in at number 7. Oklahoma gets on that list with John Mateer and Deion Burke, so Oklahoma gets to make the list there. Number 9 is Penn State, Drew Aller and Trevor Pena. And number 10 is Auburn with Jackson Arnold and Cam Coleman. That's 6 SEC teams, 2 Big 10 teams, an ACC and a Big 12. Tells you where the power still lies, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why Jackson Arnold's on this list, but hey, you know what? Good for him. He got some early recognition. Let's see if he can actually put together a football season where he doesn't. What did Ryan say? Crap his pants and fumble the ball, whatever it was.
I mean, he doesn't have as good of a name as General Booty either. So at least that was a fun name we could say for Oklahoma quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But all this list made me think about Texas quarterback wide receiver combos of years past. And it was interesting because some of them were a little bit more where I was like, oh, I don't really. And I was kind of looking at it. And so when you did a little research, some other names came up and some people that I wasn't thinking of in the same way. So if you guys are still with us in the chat on the text line, feel free to throw in who your greatest wide receiver quarterback combo is. I feel like we're going to be on the same page about the greatest. And then it starts to get a little bit more cloudy because the greatest is Colt McCoy, Jordan Shipley, right?
Oh, it's unquestioned. Yeah,
like that's the
close.
one is easy, right? Because you just go, those guys 4 years together, put up insane numbers, did so many things, should have won a national championship if you don't have that play. I know it sucks, but all of that, like that right there, that's the combo of just like, oh no, those guys are synonymous together. So I feel like that one's there. Did you have some other ones on your list? Because I have 5 more that I found of basically wide running of quarterbacks and their number 1 guys and guys I didn't want to leave off the list.
Yeah, I got 5 other ones as well, and I honestly have no idea how to rank them. Like
I don't either. That's what I'm saying. After you get past that, so let's see if we had the same 5. Are there 5 different quarterbacks?
Yes. So the way that I approached this was because after Jordan Shipley and Colt McCoy, there isn't really another example in recent Texas football history of a quarterback and a wide receiver being together for 4 years and having a 4 years elite together. So I went kind of year by year and found like the best guys that I could find, but I still had no idea how to rank them. Like it was really hard, but I think we probably have the same list. I would imagine we do. Do you want to go down yours first or should I go down mine?
Yeah, we'll go down and call me if I'm wrong. And this is not in order either because I've re-ranked them 70 times. So they're not in order. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this and what we're crazy about.
Like all these notes here of me changing their spots where it's like I didn't even know what to do.
I've changed it a bunch of times. But we'll go most recently Quinn Ewers and Xavier Worthy. I feel you have to put that one on there because of their years together and the impact they had together, that both those guys, it feels like that's the guys that you have to put on that list, right?
Yes, it is. I put Ewers and Worthy / Gunnar Helm. Is that cheating?
It's cheating because I didn't go tight ends either. I only went wide receivers. So
so you kind of have to go with Worthy in that situation, just because like Matthew Golden could have an argument, but he was there for 1 year. Worthy was there for 2 years and had 2 elite years. So I give the edge to Worthy there.
Yeah, I kind of put them synonymously together too. Like if you think of Quinn Ewers, you think, oh, throwing the ball to Xavier Worthy, just in my head. Then before that, Sam Ehlinger and Colin Johnson is who I had.
Okay, I had Sam Ehlinger, but I had a different receiver.
Okay, who'd you have a wide receiver?
Devin Duvernay.
I was between those two as well because they're both there, and I think statistically Colin Johnson was a little bit ahead, so I gave him that edge because I couldn't pick between the two because it was so hard to pick between the two of Colin Johnson and Devin Duvernay. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is why this list is so hard because it is. You're like, well, and then Duvernay was there. All right, I have Chris Sims and Roy Williams.
Yep, I've got that one too. Chris Sims gets a lot of crap, and deservedly so in a lot of the sense. But his senior year, he put up numbers, man. And Roy Williams, throughout his career with Chris Sims, was arguably the best receiver in college football.
Yes.
So, you got to have them on this list somewhere. I don't know where exactly to put them, but when they were hitting and they were together, and you can't forget BJ Johnson either, or Sloan Thomas for that matter. But Roy Williams kind of was the alpha dog in that room, and that's why I have him there.
All right, and this was one too that Vince Young, right? I have Vince Young, and I have the guy that I think is there, but for whatever reason, when I think of Vince Young, I don't even put him with the receiver. I'm just like, there was Vince, there was everybody else, and that's how good Vince Young was. And I don't mean that as disrespect to anybody else. It was just it's Vince, and then you look and you go, oh yeah, Lima Swede with Vince was amazing. Like him and Lima Swede were really good together. And so, I mean, Lima Swede, we saw go to the NFL and just wasn't quite able to get it done. But Vince and Lima Swede is who I have.
Yeah. I mean, then that's I didn't have Vince on my list because when I think of Vince Young, I don't think of a receiver either.
I don't either. But him and Lima was really good.
It was, but I think of David Thomas.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too. David Thomas was the guy. So when I go with it, I go Lima Swede because I'm like, I remember how good Lima Swede was. And then you're like, it was kind of Vince Young. So the same way that other list had one guy carrying the heavy weight on it, Vince is carrying the heavy weight on this. But I can't leave him off a list of the best quarterback wide receiver duos because he's the best. He's the best.
He's the best player in the history of Texas football. So it's hard to leave him off the list.
I can't leave him off.
He was kind of like an honorable mention for me in there just because I couldn't think of a receiver who was elite enough. And listen, before we go through the rest of our list, we also have to make sure that everybody knows we're not dipping back all the way to James Street and Cotton Spire and Bobby Lane and whoever else was there. This is recent Texas football history within the last 25 years. So
my farthest I went back, I did go to James Brown.
I did too.
I went back to James Brown and Mike Adams because that combo was really good. So I had James Brown and Mike Adams on my list, but that was kind of as far as I dove back into it before I was going to go crazy and spend the next 2 hours because I never watched them play. And that was the thing. I watched James Brown and Mike Adams play when I was a kid, so I remember that. But I don't once I go back to that, I agree there was probably great combinations back then, but I just don't remember them. So I wasn't watching. Clearly, I was not born yet. So that's why they're not on my list. You said you had one more though.
I do, and this is this is a bit of a homer pick for me in my opinion because this quarterback is my favorite quarterback in Texas history, and this wide receiver is my favorite wide receiver in Texas history, and they were both from when I was younger. Major Applewhite and Wayne McGarity.
All right, I like it.
They were really freaking good together, man, and like I just remember watching them game after game after game. And I had so much respect for Wayne McGarity, too, because he came into Texas as a running back, I believe. And then they moved him out to wide receiver. And by his senior year, he was an elite player. Major Applewhite was always clutch for Texas. So I put them there. And you could have put Kwame Cavill in there, too, with Major Applewhite. Either one of those guys. But I think Wayne McGarity, that 1 year in 1998, kind of takes the cake for me there.
Yeah. And it's funny because like Quan Cosby, I'd love to put somewhere on there, but I couldn't find where to put him in on the list.
And he's with Colt McCoy, and you can't
that's
move Jordan Shipley out of that spot. So.
Yeah, you're like, I want to put but Shipley, yeah. So I like because I'm like Quan's the dude also, but all right. We almost got to get out of here. Let's get to our meathead of the day real quick. No video, no pictures for this one, but I did see that Ohio Representative Tex Fisher has presented a bill that is designed to make sure that there is no more noon kickoffs for Ohio State. He is pitching a bill that will not allow there to be any. He is basically banning. It is a bill to prevent Ohio State from playing games scheduled at noon. The bill would prevent games from beginning before 3:30 when a state university is involved, except Michigan. That game can still be played at noon because it's traditionally played at noon. Every other game has to be done at 3:30. This is the reason I'm not against this because I don't I don't want Texas to play noon games unless they're at home and then let's get out of it because I have to cover them. But on the flip of this, stay out of these. I hate when these low-level politicians try and make a name for themselves through trying to pass weird laws for sports. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. I get the NCAA's dumb and they're terrible. Stop trying to pass. You don't know what you're talking about. So stop it. Let him play. I don't want to play at noon either. Stop trying to do real things. So many problems. Do real things.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in this world that deserve a lot more attention than when Ohio State plays their football game. Ohio State is one of those teams that always seems to get the scheduling advantage. They love playing those day games, but who cares, man? Just go home and watch football. Why do you care when Ohio State's playing? Do your job. Go be a politician. Stay out of sports.
Stay out of
Do
sports.
it.
Yeah,
Stay out of sports.
I get it. We all want to tailgate. Maybe he's just a raging alcoholic, allegedly. I don't know. I've never met the guy. I don't know what he looks like. Literally, the first time I've ever read his name was when I read this article. But maybe that's it, and he just wants more time to tailgate before. I don't know. I can't tell you. But that's our meathead of the day. We got to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the week. But until then, be kind, be safe, keep your underwear clean, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow for more from Open Gym.